Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got a great show ahead tonight as it's the experience with Christian MacLeod and Christina coming on in to talk werewolves tonight. Oh, yes, werewolves of the Appalachian Mountains. Yeah, this is going to scare the crap out of me. Hopefully it does you too as well as we get ready for roll call right now, including Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position. Eternity Eternal with a silver. Amy with a bronze medal tonight. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because Christina said, I will not go on the show unless I am nice and lubed. So Mel is lubing up Christina and Christian as we speak. Thank you, Mel. Don't forget to give yourself a little shot as well. All right, scrolling on down, we got Race Fan, we got Robert Lamothe, and we got Attorney at Large, Michael Morris. Thunderhead, how you doing? Forrest Louie, nice to see you. Frankie B. and Stephanie Kenny Blankenship. Good to have you both here. Desert Rat, Necessary Dialogue, and Lisa Smith, thank you for coming on in. There's my mama, Catherine. Mwah. I love you, my dear. I hope you're having a great, great night because tonight is going to be fun. It's always fun with Christina and Christian here. And you know what? Christian is just, he's so handsome. He is just so freaking handsome. How do you say no to that? How do you say no to that, Mama Catherine? It's the truth. It's absolutely the truth. So let's continue on with our roll call as we say hello to Search and Destroy. Mike Arrington is here. Mike Arrington will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Luscious Jules, nice to see you. As we scroll on down and say hello to number 17 in your program tonight. Starting at left wing from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. J Truth, Operation Shutdown, how you guys doing? United We Stand. East Coast Turnaround on X, nice to have you here. Road Flare and Boondock, nice to see you both here. As we scroll on down on our roll call and say hello to Erica Stover, nice to see you. Walter Kochabinski, and I'm Hardcore on X, good to have you both here. Les Paul Holland, nice to see you. Millennium is here. Millennium will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Kitty, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on a nightly basis here. So thank you very, very much for your love. I appreciate that. Scrolling on down, we say hello next to, well, let's find somebody here, shall we? It's Scott Blight, everybody. Give him a wave. He always waves back. Hi, Scott Blight. Moving on down, we have Moodens Mogul, or Moodens Mongol. It's amazing that he's actually here tonight. We don't know if it's really him or not. It could be somebody else impersonating him. Oob to Joe's Main, you've got aliens. Cage Cat, nice to see you tonight. And who is next here? Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look. It is Algaray over on Twitch. So excited for Christian and Christine tonight that he deadlifted 2 dead werewolves 87 times in 14 minutes. That's about 300 pounds apiece. Good job, Al Gray. Not even breaking a sweat. He's so tough when it comes to this stuff. Good job. All right, we're caught up there. Let's get to the radio side here. Hold on. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us in as we prepare to talk monsters with Cryptid Guy Christian and Christina in her fedora. Christina Fedora. That's what I'm going to call her from now on. And we are actually going to have a great time tonight with them, talking monsters and everything. Hey, we want to remind everybody that Christian and Christina will be up here for CaribouCon.com. And CaribouCon is September 18th through 20th. Christian and Christina will be here. I will be here. Merle, Samantha Mowat, Grant Cameron, the ladies from Beyond the Haunting, and many, many more. It's going to be a great weekend of paranormal supernatural activity at the 108 Heritage Site. Book your tickets today. We've got people literally from all over North America coming. It's going to be absolutely stunning. Store is open. The store is open. No ugly swag. None whatsoever. Horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by CaribouCon, September 18th through 20th, right here in the Caribou region of British Columbia. Go to CaribouCon.com and get your tickets today. We're going to have a fun show tonight. We're going into the Appalachian Mountains, where the Cryptid Guy is going to be taking us on a journey about werewolves. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off, followed up by the Q&A with Robin Haynes. It's going to be absolutely great, so stick with us. It's going to be fun. Christian MacLeod and Christina are the directors and lead investigators of A.C.A.P.S, American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. And they bring more than 25 years of research experience, hands-on, boots-on-the-ground investigation, looking into cryptid sightings, paranormal phenomena, UFOs, you name it, they are digging into it. Driven by a deep respect for Native American cultures, folklore, and oral traditions, both Christina and Christian combine historical context with investigative fieldwork to better understand unexplained events. Their research interests extend into a wide range of fringe historical subjects, from the occult to the UFO phenomena and everything in between. And that's why we have them here each and every month. Let's bring them on in. The Cryptid Guy, Christian MacLeod and Christina Fedora. Nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us, my brother. It's good to see you, as always.
Always good to be here.
I'm very excited to have you guys here as well. You know, I have so much fun on the air with you guys because it's like having a conversation in front of a fireplace and having a nice cold drink and just talking monsters. And really, it's the paramount of what this show should be. You know, you guys love what you do. You really do love what you do. And how a lot of people would say that's nuts. That's crazy. You're chasing down monsters. This is your job. You chase down these real weird things that are happening all around the world. Why do you love it, Christian?
So I'm not good for anything else. You know what? It's just like it's like you get to be a kid every day almost, because every day is something new. You get a phone call like today. When we decided to talk about werewolves today, I just want to put this in context. The reason why we decided that is I actually got a werewolf call from Brown Mountain today, and I haven't written this down. It hasn't been on anywhere yet, so I'm going to break it on your show. Very crazy stuff. And this is right down the street from us in Appalachia. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing that. But it's just one of these things. You never know what you're going to get to do from day to day. And when you love what you do, you don't really work. It's really one of those things. Plus, I get to work with my best friend, my hot slice. So I never get bored.
And we always have fun.
Yeah, we're always. I will say, people even say that we spend more time laughing. Like we joke with each other. I know, and when we were talking to your wife earlier, I know you guys have the same relationship, because I can tell. But we're always laughing. Like there's always something funny, or you can find something funny in any situation. And I think when you can do that, you're very, very lucky. But we're just, we're very lucky. Our paths kind of put us back together, and we started dating in high school, and I assure you that was a long time ago.
Yeah, you're old.
I am not young, no sir.
You are really old.
You can see the pain in his face right there. That's just pain. That's just sad. But we're very lucky, and we live in an area much like you do, where we get a lot of reports. And then working for Haunted Asheville, that gives us working with Josh, that gives us the opportunity to find out paranormal things that go on. And it kind of continues. It cycles itself. So we're very lucky in that fact. That's one of the reasons why we love this area so much.
What is it about chasing monsters that gives you the rush, Christina?
It's never boring. Absolutely never boring. And I'd have to say I've always been a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. So maybe it's dangerous to be in this kind of business when you don't feel fear.
It can be.
You don't feel fear the same as a lot of people, but I have always enjoyed the adrenaline.
The adrenaline rush comes from what? I mean, a lot of people would say, and I've had this comment too, you probably had it way more than me. You're a fool for what you do. You're dealing with things you have no understanding of. You're dealing with things that could literally rip you in half or abduct you never to be seen again. Why do you put yourself in that type of harm's way?
Because it's fun.
Well, plus the adrenaline rush, comes from the excitement of it. But I got to say, we don't do it haphazardly. We train and we prepare, and, we arm ourselves. We do everything we can to make the things that we do safe.
What are some of the mistakes you guys have made?
Not being prepared. I think that's the biggest. We've been places where we've had absolutely no cell phone reception. I know I've talked to you about this. Our love of radio. I'm a ham radio operator too, and I've been places where ham radio didn't pick up on a reflex signal. The stereo in the Subaru wasn't even picking up anything. I mean, we've been really out there, and the problem with that is, when you're that unprepared, you have no idea what's going to happen. And God forbid something were to happen to the car or you fall and break something. You're in a world of hurt. And for years, I never told anyone where I was going, what I was doing. I had an issue once in the middle of nowhere, and that kind of changed my mind. But it's you have to be prepared, because people don't realize, honestly, it's the little things that get you. You're 20 miles in the woods, and you get a flat tire. All right, you got to change it. But what happens if you get two flat tires? There's always something, and it's always the small detail. It's always the small things that get you. That's why we always try to be prepared. It's like Christina said, when we go somewhere, we have maps. We've got paper maps. We've got maps on the phones. We got GPS. We tell people where we're going. We tell people in our organization where we're going to be. If the CB works in the car, that's great. If not, then we'll try, the UHF bands and other things like that. But at these days, the technology is so great. we've got these little transponders that you can text with, and you push a button, and all the satellite systems come looking for you, and 5 feet of where you are. So I mean, it's the modern technology's helped out a lot, but over the years, you just learn that you have to be prepared. Have to.
And remembering to have stuff with you in the car and stuff, to have everything that you need, but also having stuff on you. Like we use utility belts. We pack a utility belt. We both have utility vests, and Uncle Milty vests that we pack every pocket with things that we might need. Backpacks, enough water. I mean, just coming down to making sure that you have enough water to make sure that you're taken care of on the trip. You get stuck out there and you don't have fresh water anywhere, you're stuck. So stuff like having water, having your instruments, having measuring equipment, making sure you have any photo stuff you need, all of that. What else?
Well, I'm a firm believer. Before Christine started doing this with me, I always told myself that if I didn't have what I needed in my vest, if something were to happen, then that's on me. So when we say, we've got one-person tents, we've got backup compasses, water straws, we've got everything you think of, fire making, stuff like that, signal mirrors. I mean, we're very adamant about what we go into the field with, and it's just one of these things where it's redundancy. I hate saying that, but you have to be redundant with stuff. And we'll have a list of stuff, like if we're doing something special, and we're taking a lot of pictures or filming an area, we'll bring in like meters and K2s and things like that, natural frequency meters, and we end up using them a lot. One thing I brought in, and I learned, I just happen to have one by absence. I bring a Geiger detector, Geiger meter wherever I go, and you'd be surprised how many times you find radiation, especially in the middle of nowhere. I know that sounds weird, Dave, but you'd be surprised. I would love to get, is it your area up there, 21? I would love to hit that with a Geiger counter.
We did last year. Yeah. Lee Strauss actually hit it when we showed him where the UFO had landed.
Yeah. And it went nuts, didn't it?
I bet it did.
And that was 2 years ago, and it was still picking up radiation detection in the moss and in the trees. And what was funny? That was catching us off guard, because that for me confirmed that I saw what I thought I saw.
Yeah, you can't fake radiation.
No. But the interesting part about it, and I get goosebumps just talking about it, was as Lee was measuring the Geiger counter around, he looks down in the moss and there's a Sasquatch track right in the middle.
That's love.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah,
it all comes together, man. I'm telling you, when you have the right equipment, in the right time, the right place, it all comes together. And that's one of the reasons why we're so adamant about bringing stuff. Yeah, we bring repelling gear. You'd be surprised how many times that's coming in handy. We have repelling gear for both of us, harnesses, everything. So it's easy for us to go and check out caves. But some people, they just don't do that.
It's also
I don't do that. But I'll tell you the one thing that I always forget in my gear. I always forget a change of clothes, and I always forget a blanket. I've got much more fire starter than you could ever imagine. You know what I'm saying? I got more fire starter than you could imagine. So I know I could keep warm, but I got nothing to throw over top of me. That's for sure.
Well, we use the Mylar blankets, space blankets. We've got a couple of those with us, and then we've got some sleeping bags that are emergency sleeping bags that are made of some kind of water breathable kind of Mylar that keep you safe under 30 degrees. So but as far as spare clothes, I'm the same way. I'll throw in an extra flannel shirt. That's usually my big, because I'm not thinking I'm going to lose my pants.
But
I've shredded my pants. I have not sharded. I've shredded. I want to make sure I have shredded my pants by falling down. We've had some accidents in the mud, and when you just start going downhill, I'm sure you've been there. And then the pantalones are gone. So that could have. I've been there. I understand.
Out of all the mistakes you've made around monsters or in situations of the paranormal, what is one of the biggest mistakes that you've made being around these paranormal supernatural creatures?
Not paying attention to whether or not it was demonic or just a ghost. Thinking it was all the same. Probably was that's one of my biggest mistakes. That's a big, you don't want to do that. But when it's come to cryptid, I think one of the reasons we're so careful now is because simply we were so laissez-faire when we started doing this, because we just didn't think anything was there. So we just kind of act like nothing was going on, and then all of a sudden something would happen, or you find a footprint, or someone throw a stick, or something would throw something at you. And a lot of it I used to play off as, oh, it's ridiculous, it's nothing. And I started paying more attention as I got older. I don't know where that came from, but I started being a little more wary. I think that's the other thing. Because it's easy to fall into the trap, like, oh, there's nothing out there, there's nothing, but you have no idea. I've actually stepped on rattlesnakes before, so I mean, you just don't know.
I'm glad we don't have the rattlesnakes here. I think the biggest mistake that I have made and that I learned in Flight 21 last year, and I think it's a good lesson for wherever you investigate, and that is no matter what, always have a camera rolling, because it's when you stop the camera, that's when it's like the phenomena knows, and that's when things happen. And it's so fleeting, you miss it, and you never get that opportunity again.
You know what the other thing bugs me is GoPros. The batteries on those don't last as long as they should. I'm just telling you that right now. I'm with you on that. Because I always like leaving the GoPro running, and then boom, every 20 minutes you got to change the battery out. I'm with you. That's the worst.
It is. And I mean, talk about being prepared. I mean, when you go out on investigation, okay, what do you do to set up your safety? Okay. Do you have a little conversation with the phenomena when you're entering a haunted place? Do you go out when you're talking cryptids? Do you kind of say, hey guys, I'm not here to harm you or anything like that? What do you do?
Well, it's depending on what we're going for. If it's something haunted, we'll be very, hey, we're here to, make contact. We're not here to hurt anyone. We're not here to bother anyone. I'm sure it's the same thing you guys probably do. If it's cryptid, Tiny, when we go in with Tiny's got this whole little thing he does. He'll offer up tobacco or little treats or something like that, or candy, and he'll put it on a rock or something like that. And then he'll walk away from that and he'll start investigating another area. It's just like kind of being very respective of the area. And I think that helps out a lot, because when you're not respective of the area, whatever's in there knows. That's why these shows, some of the TV shows that have lasted, I don't know how long, the way they go out there just makes no sense to me. They're out there making fools of themselves or yelling, whooping. I mean, that's not respectful. I mean, they're just making asses of themselves.
Well, you know what? Like when we go out there, and I've never kind of put this on camera because I think it's just that private instance. Before we take out our chairs, before we take out our pointy sticks, before we do anything, I sit there and I say, hey, you remember me? I'm Dave. I come here all the time. And when it was with Tim, I'd say, you remember Tim, and we're here for the evening. And we ask that all the spirits and cryptids, take the time to come over and say hello. You're more than welcome. And then I'll get into the point. We are armed, however, we will not, our guarantee to you is we will not raise our pointy sticks up to you, the cryptid creatures or the paranormal creatures or the UFOs and aliens that are here. And then I will say, and I'm going to ask a favor of all the animals that are in this area. I'm asking you to please push back. Okay. We don't want to harm you. You don't want to harm us. We don't want any bad interaction. So if you guys could please take the long way around, we'd greatly appreciate it. And so far it's been pretty successful with that. Now, do I trust it? I try to, but you also can't trust it at the same time, because mountain lions, grizzly bears, moose, they all have their own attitude. And I'm not willing to take that chance.
Well, I mean, that's smart, though, especially, and the other thing is, like, if you've got your son or something like that with you, you're going to be hyper vigilant anyway. So, it depends on, I think that's one thing. It depends on who you've got with you, and it depends on the area. And you're right, you can't tell what an animal's going to do. I mean, I remember we've been in places where we're just taking film, just taking pictures of things, and then all of a sudden you look behind you and there's a 300-pound black bear. Now that doesn't sound like very much, especially I know the size of the bears you guys get, but that's something you don't want to piss off. So that's happened. We have a lot of coyotes around here and stuff like that. So you're absolutely right. Animals are going to do what they're going to do, but I think if you kind of try and be peaceful with them the first way you do it, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not, like I said, when we go out, our biggest concern isn't the animals on four legs. It's the two-legged ones that I worry about. That's what we pretty much keep an eye out for.
But we definitely do the same thing to whether out loud or mentally let the cryptids know or paranormal know that we're armed, but we're armed mostly because we have to worry about bears, that we're not there offensively. We're here. We have this to defend ourselves, but we mean you no harm. We're not here to disrupt your home or threaten your families in any way. We mean you no harm whatsoever. I mean, we always try to let everything know that we're here totally in peace and have no bad intentions towards them.
And that's the big part, is the bad intention. Like I know in our area, we have a resident mountain lion that's in that area. And the first night that Tim and I filmed, we had packed up. We were just kind of looking around to see if we were missing anything before we hopped in the vehicle. And what do I see about 40, 50 feet away from us? I see a mountain lion running across a trail. And it's like, okay, that's close.
But see, people don't realize how dangerous those things can be, especially since they attack you from behind and they go for your neck. People don't realize that. You're not going to hear them. If they don't want you to hear them, you're not going to hear them.
And the agility and the way they can leap.
And the strength. I mean, those things are strong. So people don't realize how dangerous that is. I'd rather deal with like a brown bear than a ticked off cat, because sometimes the bear just go away. Cats won't go away; they'll keep following you. That's the thing with them. So yeah, you're lucky, man. You got to be safe. You got to be careful of those things.
And that's exactly it. I mean, in our area, because when you come up here this fall, I'm going to take you out there because you're coming a few days before the big event, which is Caribou Con. You can get your tickets at cariboucon.com. And Christian and Christina are going to be one of our speakers at this event. And I know you guys are going to come up a little bit sooner than that. And one of the things that I think will catch you a little bit off guard is actually how claustrophobic the area is, because literally you are surrounded by trees and brush and forest. And, when you look into that brush and forest, there are certain areas where you can look in 80, 100, 150 feet, but where our base camp is, you can't see 30 feet into the trees. So whatever is sneaking up on you,
you're not going to see it.
You're going to have a quick reaction of what's going on. And there really is no margin for error. So you do have to learn your environment, and you have to trust that spirit and Mother Nature will actually be backing you on this, not just for the cryptids and the monsters, but mainly for the wild animals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, what's funny is, people think, oh, wild animals. Most people don't realize how wild the outside really is. They're used to going outside, mowing their lawns, and maybe a couple hundred yards, and there's some woods. But once you're into those woods, it's a different story.
But don't forget, and I hate to cut you off there, most people who are even listening to this show, the closest they ever get to a forest is maybe the park on the street corner, or just down the road. Most people are not traveling into the forest. They have no idea or a concept of what it's like to be 100 feet in the forest, and all of a sudden you turn around and you can't figure out which way you came.
Yeah, that's the problem. A lot of people don't have that. Yeah.
Hold that thought. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. From A.C.A.P.S, we have Cryptid Guy Christian, we have Christina, and we're going to get into werewolves when we come back. because there's some new werewolf stories coming out of the Appalachians. And we're going to find out about this first next. All right, give me a second here. Hi in the studio. How you doing? Dawn in our chat room. I'm not sure. I hope you're still here, my dear. Dawn's mom is Susan, who would come into our chat room, and she, in case you haven't seen the notes in the chat room, Susan passed away on Sunday.
Oh,
Susan
sorry.
has been a listener with us for about 8 years. What year is it? 2026. So yeah, about 7-8 years, and that's hard. She just lost her partner Morris a couple months ago, and now we've lost Susan. So I am heartbroken for you, Dawn, and your mom being here every night. I always look forward to saying hello to her, and I wish you and your family Godspeed, and hopefully it wasn't too tragic. Hopefully it was nice and peaceful, and she got to fall asleep on her own terms. But we love Susan around here, and God bless you. God bless Susan. God bless your family. She was an important part of our chat room, and she loved being here and loved being with her fellow chatters on our YouTube side. So, so please accept our love and condolences and our healing prayers for you and your family and for Susan on her journey to the other side. Well, I guess she's already made the journey, but we'll send her some love and some prayers on the other side too. All right. And thank you so much for coming in and letting us know. I know this is probably hard for you, and we really appreciate you showing us that love back here in order to let us know that one of our family has moved on to the next realm. So thank you for that. We really do appreciate that. She will be sorely missed here. She really will, because I know how much she loved being here, and I know how much she loved tuning in and being a part of this SOR family. So thank you, Don, and feel welcome always to come back. If you want to come back and listen in and be a part of it too, because I know you were there for a while, but if you want to come back, come on in. You're more than welcome. We'd love to have you and be a part of it. So shitty news, very shitty news, but we've lost a number of listeners recently, like in the last year and a half, probably I'm going to say between 5 and 10 that were regulars in our chat room in the last year and a bit. And it's hard. That's hard because even though you don't know the person personally, you just kind of you get attached. Like from my end, you get attached of seeing the people here. You do.
Well, you get attached to your fans. I mean, like they're your fans. You're attached to them. You know, right, wrong, or different. You know, they're still supporting you, and you know, you get attached.
I get attached to this.
I don't blame you. I'd get attached to that if I could.
So, all the love to you guys and your family, Don, and God bless Susan. In the studio, how you doing? Nice to see you. And you know what? Just for Susan tonight, actually every night, because we always have a good time in our chat rooms. For Susan tonight, though, let's make the chat extra special. Let's make sure we show a lot of love for everybody who is in our chat room tonight. Susan loved being here. She tried to be here almost every night, and you know what? Let's do her the favor and show each other a bunch of love back. Okay, that's how we win in these horrible situations. You know, that's how we win. God, I hate that. All right, we got about 45 seconds left. Thank you to Kitty Cattywhack for a lone super chat. We appreciate it. We appreciate the love. And tickets on sale for Caribou Con.
How much are they, Dave?
I think they're only $179 VIP for the weekend.
That's a steal.
That's
That's
it.
a bargain.
Steal, people. Grab it. Rob
And
it.
you get to meet who?
You can see a lot of cool people, including this guy right here.
I love him.
All right, here we go in 3 seconds. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind all of you, did you know our archives are always free? Yeah, free. How often do you hear that in today's society? You don't. But our archives are on YouTube or any major podcast network. The only thing I ask for in return is give us a good review, hit subscribe or follow. I think that's pretty fair. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go from A.C.A.P.S. We have Christian MacLeod, we have Christina, and we are going to get into an incredible story that's just kind of happened with werewolves, Christian. Werewolves? Let me get you unmuted here. There you go.
Crazy stuff, shapeshifters. So what we're going to do first is Christina's going to give you a little background on the specific types of werewolves we're discussing, because being in Appalachia, there's a lot of influence from the Scots-Irish and a culmination of Scots-Irish and then the Cherokee Nation. So it all kind of combines, and that's where we have like today's version of mountain magic, and of course that would be the Cherokee version of skinwalkers, things of that nature. So Christine's going to give us a little background on that, and then I'm going to tell you guys some of the newest stuff that we have received as of today. So whenever you're ready.
Okay. The ancient Celts had basically two big incarnations of the werewolfish type character. The one is in the Shetland Islands of Scotland. It's called a wolver, and it's more of a dogman type creature than a shape-shifting werewolf. They saw it as its own species. But the wolver, and both of them, I should say, are less monster and more guardian nature spirit. Guardian and symbol, they symbolize the warrior spirit. The wolver was seen as its own species of part man, part wolf. A lot like we'd see a dogman today, but they were seen as guardians, and they took care of the poor. They actually were known to believed to leave fish, fishing out on the rock in the Shetland Islands, and would leave fish for the poorer people in town, leave it on the windowsill to make sure that they were taken care of. The other kind of werewolf in the Celtic folklore is the Fieldwork. And the Fieldwork is more of an Irish figure. It is definitely a shape-shifting werewolf type spirit. And they were seen as in two different ways. In one way, they were guardians of the young, the feeble, usually watched over children. And on the other hand, they were a warrior spirit. They were actually rumored to have been, or in legend to have been, bought off by kings to fight in certain wars. Whoever could pay their price would get them as mercenaries in a war. And the Fieldwork were fierce warriors, but they looked after people. They looked after, like I said, the young, and they were known to help lost travelers find their way. The Irish had a pagan religion. The ancient Celts had a pagan religion, and instead of seeing anything, especially of legend as a monster, or being all good or all bad. They saw them more as a force of balance in nature. And they, like I said, they represented the warrior spirit and the spirit of the guardian rather than being all good or all bad. They also did mischievous things like any wolf would do, and would steal farm animals, and were said to raid the the hen coop, or steal sheep
They had it
from the
coming.
yard.
They had it coming, Dave.
So they weren't 100% benevolent, but they were seen as more of a balancing kind of figure.
Okay. And that brings us to the kind of werewolf stories we're talking about today in modern Appalachia. Now, I was going to discuss the Brown Mountain werewolf, and we're going to get to that. But I want to give you a little background on something called the Beast of Bladenborough. You guys, have you ever heard of that one, Dave?
Which one?
The Beast of Bladenborough?
No, fill us in on that story.
Okay, the Beast of Bladenborough, in the small town of Bladenborough, North Carolina, it's a very rural expanse. Very, very out in the middle of nowhere, but its focus is on local charm and hospitality for tourism. However, in the cold winter of 1954, this quiet town gained national notoriety due to mysterious and terrifying phenomena, and they dubbed it the Beast of Bladenborough. Now, I still get reports about this thing, and some people refer to it as a werewolf, and some people actually refer to it as a massive cat. But most of the reports will somehow they'll put it in mostly in the werewolf category. But this creature, a source of fear and fascination, became one of America's most perplexing cryptid cases and inspiring legends that persist to this day. Now, basically, what happened in Bladenborough, like in many small places and towns in the U.S., was a peaceful place, very uneventful. The town's days were marked by a rhythm of farming, commerce, and family ties. However, in December 1953 through January 54 would prove to be anything but ordinary. Reports began circulating of a vicious predator targeting local livestock, killing in ways that defied explanation and left residents both frightened and confused. And basically, when they say killing in different ways, this wasn't just a cow getting its throat torn out. These things were ripped to pieces. They were ripped to pieces, and very, very few parts were dedicated on. So, in other words, they thought these things, whatever was doing the killing, was just thrill killing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. And the first signs of trouble were gruesome. Farmers found their animals, primarily goats and dogs, mutilated in their pens. Their wounds suggested an attack by a large and powerful creatures. Witness accounts described the beast as feline in appearance, but over time the size was exaggerated, and the size of ferocity, and definitely the town kind of came up with its own version of what the Bladenborough beast was, and it went from basically a feline to a canine. The residents, of course, were terrified, and the descriptions were very different. Accounts of the beast's appearance varied, but constantly themes emerged. Witness reported a creature that was dark in color, between 4 and 5 feet long, and resembling a panther or mountain lion. And then that description would go from basically a 7 to 8 foot tall werewolf that was bipedal and just had glowing red eyes. The carnage was just, as I said, the carnage was just ridiculous. The first confirmed attacks were on December 29th, 1953. The modus operandi was clear. It was attacking domestic animals and leaving behind unbelievably mutilated bodies that bore marks of ferocious and deliberate killings. Basically, it was considered thrill killings. The town mobilized as a response to this, and by January 5th, 1954, dozens of hunters armed with rifles secured the forest surrounding Bladenborough, and the story gained traction in newspapers. Outsiders joined the fray, turning the hunt into a spectacle. Now, when I say media went on this, media outlets sensationalized the event, drawing reporters and curiosity seekers from across the region and across the country. They basically, there was actually a Bladenborough report in London while all this was going on. For a brief time, Bladenborough was the center of a chaotic and surreal manhunt, with individuals hoping to claim the glory of capturing the mysterious predator. Now, basically what happens is the hysteria around the beast of Bladenborough reached its peak in early January 54. reports suggested that a large wildcat had been trapped and killed near the town. But the truth of the matter is, the allegations were soon put to rest because the cat itself, when they looked at the body, there's just no way it was matching the witness reports and statements, and it was just way too small. Basically, what happened is I think this thing got tired and just kept moving. I think personally this could be an example of a mistake of a dogman. We were talking about this earlier when we were going to do the show earlier. One of the biggest things I think happens is when people see a dogman, they have nothing to compare it to. So they're automatically going to say werewolf. You know, or if they see cynocephaly, they're automatically going to say werewolf. When Christine was talking about, kings being able to hire these werewolf mercenaries, that's nothing new. We've had reports that go all the way back to Alexander the Great. He had cynocephaly, mercenaries working for him that were incredible warriors, ate their meat raw, and were just very, very dangerous. Basically, they would basically count them as 10 men. So that's very interesting. But if you think about it, if you're not into the cryptid or paranormal world, and you see a dogman or cynocephaly, what are you gonna think it is? What's it gonna look like to you?
I don't know. That's my fear.
The only thing you can say is werewolf, though, right? What's
Absolutely.
the only thing
If you didn't know what you were looking at,
Right.
you would definitely say werewolf.
But that's what most of these reports of. And what's weird in Appalachia is I think a lot of these reports are dogman, but they get mistaken. See, here's my thing, and I want to be clear on this because I've been asked this several times, and I'm sure Christine's got her opinion. I'm sure you got your opinion. Dave, I believe in a lot of stuff. You and I both know that. But it is hard pressed for me to believe that a human being can transmogrify into a basic animal. I'm going to have to see that to believe it. So I think what happens is I think all these werewolf reports realistically are mistaken dogman or Janosqua reports. I just don't believe a human being can transmogrify in a human or into an animal. I don't see it. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I don't know what yours are on that. Well, I kind of know, but it's hard for me to believe that. I think that's one of the reasons why we're considered debunkers is because I got to see that. So, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? I'm curious.
My thoughts are that I could see where you're going with the whole dogman aspect of everything. I would lean towards that too. However, I would say that if there are werewolves out there and people transforming into werewolves and maybe they're their own cryptid entity, we don't know. Maybe it could be a combination of both. I mean, look, you have Bigfoot and Dogman sharing a forest. You have Bigfoot and Janosqua and Gugways and everything sharing a forest. I mean, they're bound to run into each other anytime. So why not add in a werewolf?
Well, see, here's the problem you're dealing with: the supernatural versus the natural, and that's the problem. Because look, I believe in ghosts, I believe in Bigfoot, I believe in Dogman, I believe in a lot. But for a human being, like for me to transform into a 10-foot werewolf and then transform back into a human, I don't see that happening. That would take some kind of either divine or undivine super natural focus. In other words, when I say divine, it'd have to be godlike, and when I say undivine, of course, that would be demonic-like. So I don't think God's going to turn anyone into a werewolf for a good purpose. Whereas, when you go back to the Beast of Jebudan and several accounts where people were handed a pelt by Satan and they were turned in, there was always that supernatural effect. My thing is, I think there's the supernatural, then there's the real, there's the natural. And I think that's where the problem gets linked. I think people have been seeing Dogman for so long, they have no other way to express what they think they're seeing than to call it a supernatural event, whereas it's a natural creature. And I think that's probably, the same thing happens when someone sees a Bigfoot in the woods. They don't know how to explain it. The closest thing they can come up with is, a werewolf. Or if they see a Janosqua, closest thing they can. When you see a Janosqua, I'm sorry, Janosqua looks like a werewolf, just his legs are different,
Yeah, I was just going to get you to explain to our audience what a Janosqua is.
A Janosqua, it's a big Sasquatch. It's usually called the face eater. They're incredibly violent. It's probably the one cryptid you never want to run into. They've got claws on not only their hands but their feet. They have a digigrade locomotion, but they often look like a werewolf because they have a snout. The beast of seven shoots is sometimes referred to as that. But they're vile. They're just they kill for the sake of killing. It's just something you don't want to run into. I've been doing this for 27 years now. I've had one Janosqua report from upstate New York, from a people or a couple of people, beautiful, wonderful people. They were .com billionaires. They wanted to go off grid, and they sent me pictures. I'll show you the pictures. I'm not going to publish them, but they had these 22.5-inch footprints by 11.5-inch wide with claws on the tips of them surrounding their house in upstate New York. These people were wealthy enough to basically helicopter all their stuff in to build their compound. So the top of the house was like normal, but they had a basement that they lived in that was completely state of the art. You know, it was a bunker. And they called me and they sent me the pictures. And I actually had to call in some help, but we were able to get them off the property. And like I said, I'll tell you about that later, but I don't want anyone else trying this stuff because it does get dangerous. But they were terrified. This thing had ripped a steel door off the hinges and basically crumpled it up like it was nothing. And it just destroyed the inside of the house. The way they had their bunker done is there was a closet, and then when you went in the closet, there was a trap door, and then there was the ladder, and then all that could be sealed. So they had that sealed door. So they were in no danger when they were in their bunker, but they also had cameras everywhere, so they could see this thing. And apparently they told me they had film of this thing attacking the house and doing this other stuff. But I lost contact with them about 2 years ago. I have no idea what happened to them. But it's a very, very dangerous animal, something you don't want to mess with.
How many locations do you know that these Janosqua are?
The one in upstate New York, these things are more in your area. They're up north. They like it colder, you know. So I've only heard, that's the only time I've ever heard of Janosqua in this lower 48, you know, down here. We get reports from Alaska. I mean, we don't, but I mean, you could get reports from Alaska. I'm surprised you don't have a lot of them in your area, because that's definitely, well, there's probably so few people up there, they probably wouldn't run into them. But it's something that would be more, you know, contained to your area. It's just something you don't want to deal with. That's why when you talk about going to Area 21 and stuff, I worry about you, because you can't, those things are just vile. That's my concern. Bigfoot, things like that, I know you can handle. But you start talking, you know, you don't know if you're running Janosqua or something up in that area. That's why I get worried for you, man, because that's a dangerous, that's just something you might not win. I mean,
oh, dude, you know, it's funny that you bring that up, because when we have our encounters with our Sasquatch in that area, one of the things that I instill with whoever I'm investigating with is, I want to know what you're feeling. Because there are times when I've been feeling absolutely great, and Tim would be all like, you know what? I think we need to leave this area. And just because I wasn't feeling it doesn't mean that I have to say, no, I'm not feeling anything. Like, I don't want to outrank his feelings about that, you know, because you're not playing in your own territory.
Because I've had the same issues. Tiny and I have been out, and Tiny, you know, I always talk about Tiny. Tiny's 7 foot, 450 pounds. Tiny's half Bigfoot. We always keep saying, if we ever find Bigfoot in the woods, they're gonna think we kidnapped one of their kids, because they're gonna see Tiny and it'll probably be a family reunion. But Tiny's very sensitive. He gets these feelings, and when Tiny gets a feeling it's time to go, you better believe it's time to go. Me, I don't have that ability, Dave. I'm stupid. I'll keep walking forward. You know, I'm not. If I get a feeling, then it's so blatant that everyone's already had it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have that alarm. Thank you. That's the alarm we set up. When you see that, you have to run. But I don't have that sensitivity that a lot of people like Robin, probably your son. I know he's got that. She's like that too. I can't. I'm too stupid. I don't have that ability. I mean, there could literally be a whole thing going on right in front of me. I'll just keep walking in front of it. Oh, hi. How you doing? So.
But it is something that you have to pay attention to.
Oh, definitely. And I wish I had more of it.
You're not paying attention. You know, I mean, look, and it's not just being around wild animals or anything like that, but I mean, how many times are you around a person, or you're say in a lake or swimming in the ocean, and you're like, you know what, I just need to get out of the water. And the next thing you know, you see the shark fin pop up, right? If you're in the ocean or a lake, one of the two, because right now in Australia, there's a great white swimming in a lake right now. Okay, I saw that video. That's
Only a
another
matter of time,
that
baby.
will
Only a
never go to
matter of time.
Australia. Never go in there.
No,
right?
dude, anything in Australia and Africa will kill you.
Absolutely.
I was always when I was commercial diving, that's a global kind of thing. And one of my old instructors told me, he goes, there's two things. He goes, stay away from Australia and Africa, because everything there wants to kill you or eat you. So just don't stay. Just don't go near it. And lo and behold, 30-foot saltwater crocodiles. I'm out. That's a dinosaur, baby. I'm out. You can't kill that with a spear gun. What are you gonna do? Hit it with a knife? Go away? No, that's not gonna work.
No.
Foul language? No, not gonna happen.
No, it's not going to just appreciate the foul language. It's not going to.
It's gonna eat you and then poop you out. I'm out. I don't need that.
Yeah, like Jay Truth Seeker in our chat room says, great white sharks are now appearing in public pools. Absolutely. I will never. I don't go in public pools. I don't. You never know.
Seeker, please follow me, Truth Seeker. You're gonna like what you read on my. You and I are on the same page, baby. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Straight up.
You just never know. But the idea of it all is everybody has that sixth sense, and it's whether or not you decide to use it that could save your butt or get you very much injured, and I think like out at Flight 21, we play it maybe a little too safe for people, when we don't investigate the plane crash site. Okay, I just think that's sacrilegious. Okay, because I'm not there for the spirits that are still there. If they want to talk, they can come out and they can talk to us, right? And they do the odd time. Or when we're in the back in the trees where the Sasquatch seem to be, that's when we go in there. But if we get that feeling that it's time for us to leave, okay, we've had enough of you guys. Go back to your base. Literally, you'll get the feeling of, okay, guys, we've had our fun. Let's go back. It's time for you to go back to your base camp. That's literally the message that we will get. And it'll be like, I remember looking at Tim, and Tim and I were on such a good page where we'd be like, okay, yeah, I got that feeling now. It's time to wrap it up and head back to base camp.
But that's like any kind of place that's haunted or any kind of paranormal activity. We've been in buildings where nothing's going on, and then it's like time to go, and then all of a sudden something will happen, and it's like, do we stay or do we go? It's one of those things. And then I think leaving's probably the best thing to do. If your gut's telling you to leave, listen to your gut. Like I said, I wish I was a little more sensitive when it came to that area. I get excited. Like, I don't know. I get excited when stuff happens. I get excited. So I want to see, I want to see the outcome. And I guess that excitement, kind of trumps my, what's the word I'm looking for? Safety issues.
Safety.
Yeah.
Natural fear.
Because I'm just stupid. Now this one, she'll be like, no, it's time to go. I'm like, no, let's go over here. No, it's time to go. No, let's check this area out. And Tiny does the same thing. Tiny's actually carried me out of places. I have been, yes, that's right. Tiny has actually picked me up and said, we're leaving, dummy.
I don't think I can carry him.
No. Well, Tiny.
He has to listen to me.
You wouldn't want to carry the weight of all this. You definitely
it's
would.
Too much. It's too much man.
Right?
Too much man.
We got about a minute to go here before we have to go to break from A.C.A.P.S, American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. We have Christian MacLeod and Christina with us. I want to get more into these werewolves, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
You talked about what people were, what these are, but I want to get into what these sightings were. What were we seeing? What were people seeing? How close were they? I can honestly say this is really where I don't really want to be a part of a situation like that. Like my big fear, and I know the Dogmen are about 30 miles behind me in the forest.
They're probably about 5 miles behind you.
Oh, maybe that could be.
they travel, they probably travel 100 miles a night.
I still do not want to encounter it.
Just be nice.
I have a fear of it. I literally have a fear of it. And the worst part about it is I had this great fear last year that I was going to see one. It never happened, but I know it's going to happen. Christian
That's going to
MacLeod
happen when we get up there.
are with us tonight on Scout Radio. When we return, more talk about werewolves in the Appalachians. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, buddy, we're going to go on a break here. I'm just going to put you in the background, and I'll be right back, okay? All right. Be right back, everybody. There we go. All right. back. Let's bring in Christian. There we go. There he is. And let's
That
unmute
kind
him.
of church will sell. That'll sell.
God, that's beautiful.
It is.
Absolutely beautiful. Hello, Dirty.
Look at that face. That noble chin. That stoic brow.
Stoic.
Almost looks like a Roman god.
Mm.
All right, give me a second here. Tankella, how you doing? Hello, Dirty. And who else has joined us here? Hello, Dirty.
Is Dirty Philip here?
He's in the chat room. He's hanging out in the chat room
Can you
tonight.
tell him I want him to do a picture of us.
Well, you just told him.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, Dirty. That guy's good.
He's really good.
He is. I'd
He's-
hang out with him. I
Skip
will
to
buy you a beer when I get up there. No Molson. I heard what that does to you. Is Perry Marvin going to be there for the event?
I don't know if Paramarv's coming up for Caribou Con. I hope he
Perry
does.
Marv, you coming up?
Jose Sanchez, how are you, buddy? All right, we got 36 seconds. We got one lone super chatter tonight. That is Kitty Cattywhack, Kitty Cattywhack. Thank you for the love. Shop at our spaced out radio store. No ugly swag, everyone. Look what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the Merle board shirt for Merle. Right there, Merle's board. Go find one. It's right there. And here we go, everybody. 5 seconds. We are into hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Heterotrichosis. Heterotrichosis is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam says the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring in our guest from American Cryptid and Paranormal Society, based out of North Carolina. We have Christian MacLeod and Christina with us, and we're talking about werewolves tonight because you recently received a report of a couple of werewolf sightings in the Appalachian Mountains, and you broke down what the werewolves were and everything, but how close were these people to these creatures?
Well, the story I'm about to tell you, the guy, it's very interesting. This happened in the Brown Mountain area. It's not too far from where we are now, but I've been asked not to use his name or what he does for a living. But what I can say is that he's in a position where he is trusted by the local community. Pretty much, I can say they trust him with their lives, if I can say that. Here's what was going on. This guy he's had a bad couple of months. His wife left him for, believe it or not, his brother, and handed him divorce papers. And now his wife and his brother are living in his house on his dime, basically. The courts were not kind to him. He ended up living in a trailer, or moving into a trailer that his dad owned, out in the middle of the sticks near Brown Mountain. All right, that's as close as I can get you to where this happened. This is less than 6 months ago. I've been asked not to give exact time too, but it's less than 6 months ago. And here's what happens. He's home after work on a shift after Friday. He gets home, and all this guy wants to do, seriously, is turn on some Pink Floyd and get drunk. His words. He fell asleep on his couch because he'd worked so hard, and he didn't even have a drink yet. And he said he woke up about 11:45 at night. and he heard dogs barking. He does not have any pets. His wife got the golden retriever. He literally, it's just him. And he's in this trailer. And he told me point blank that as he's sitting there, he's about to get a beer. He hears this howling. And he said he actually thought there was a horror movie on TV. He's very much an audiophile. One of the few things he got to keep was his audio setup. And he's got a pretty cool sound system. I'm a little bit of I'm an old Pioneer guy, and we were discussing some of the equipment he had, and he's got a very, very loud system, but his TV goes through that. So when I say that, that's what he thought he was hearing. He thought he'd listen. He thought one of the horror movies had come on because he'd fallen asleep watching TV. As he looks at the TV, he realizes that's not the case, and then he hears the howling again. Except this time when he hears it, he says it's like the front of his trailer started to shake. He was terrified. He had no idea what it was. And in his mind, he thinks it's wolves. They had just reintroduced. There's a lot of folklore about werewolves in this area to begin with, but there's also a lot of folklore and a lot of rumors about wolves, specifically red wolves in this area. And allegedly what had happened is after the red wolves had been almost extinct in this area, they made a big comeback. Does that make sense? I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here. And he thinks, well, maybe it's a group of red wolves, and he just hasn't heard them yet because he's that far in the sticks. All right. So he doesn't pay attention. He starts drinking, he has a couple beers, he's watching TV. He's on the phone with his mom. She's trying to make peace between him and his brother. That's obviously not going to happen. And then he hears this huge thump on the side of his house. And he said it was loud enough for it shook the inside, whatever was inside. Now, his trailer isn't like what we would call a normal trailer. It was actually it was put together by the Parks Department. It's made out of aluminum and shingles and basically plywood. So it's not your average trailer. Does that make sense? It's like a mobile home, but it wasn't. It was actually built on a concrete pad, and it has a little bit of a downstairs to it, but it looks like a mobile home. But it was I guess you'd call it pre-manufactured. I guess that makes sense because the walls are like aluminum. They just put it together and they put the roof on it and plumbing and everything like that. But it's solid. It's not, you can't move it.
Right.
But he felt this thud, and he said it had to have dented the damn house when he was in the inside. So now he's pissed off because this is his dad's place. And he's like, great, how am I explaining this to my dad? You know what I mean? Something banged my house. That's not going to play. So he goes out there and he grabs he's got a 357 Magnum. He's got the exact same gun I have. He's got a highway patrolman. And he goes out there and he's turned on all the lights, and he goes out there and he says he saw absolutely nothing. He goes, but there was a strange smell in the air. He goes, it smelled like a combination of moss, wet dog, and greenery. It smelled like if you just mowed the lawn a little bit. It smelled like that and a wet dog. That's what he said. It had this just strange smell, and he couldn't figure out what it was from. He said he looked over his trash can, and he didn't have pickup. He actually burnt all his trash. But what he did is he just put the bags in the trash can until it was full, and then he'd go burn them behind the place. That's how rural this is, all right? So he looks over and he says his trash can's all knocked over. Looks like someone been going through it. And then he's thinking freaking raccoons, but then he can't stop thinking about that thump in his house. He had no idea what the hell it was. And he's looking around his house. He's got his flashlight. He has a very good mag light, LED mag light. It's very bright. It's like 4,000 lumens. So he's very good with that. And he's looking around the house, and he looks around the entire house. He sees nothing. Well, he goes back inside. He has another drink. He's trying to relax. He's starting to fall asleep again. And then he hears like this tapping on his window. And he says, he's like tap, 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 tap. But he says it sounded like fingernails. Like if I know there's a glass, but it'd be like, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it'd be like taking your fingernails on a glass. He hears that. And it's going in threes. And at first he thought it was one of his friends come up with mess with him because he had another buddy that he works with help him move in. And they said that if they had nothing else going on that night, they were going to check on him. So he comes up there, or he thinks he's going up there. He opens up the window. There's nothing there. But in the condensation, he can see where like there's been a print up here. And it looks like lines been drawn down. And it looks like someone had done it with something very sharp. It just didn't look right. So he goes back, has another beer. He's relaxing. He hears the tap again. And this time he goes outside, and As he turns on his light, he looks up and he says point blank, he sees this 8.5 to 9 foot creature that looks like it was something out of The Howling. It was bipedal. It had yellow eyes that were staring at him. He said, it felt like he was hypnotized. And he says, as he's looking at this thing, he's got his gun laying there like this. He's got his gun in his right hand, his flashlight in his left hand. He's got the flashlight. He said he was so scared that he didn't even point the gun. He said this thing looked at him. He said point blank, it looked like it was smiling. It pointed a finger at him, and then it ran away. And that happened less than 6 months ago, right around this area. He has been back there twice to get his stuff during the day. And at this point, this gentleman is not doing well. He says he can't sleep at night. He says every time he closes his eyes, all he sees those yellow eyes. He says he's every time, like he's at work, he'll hear someone knocking on his office door and be like at a 3. He says he starts sweating. He's having problems sleeping. He's going through psychiatric evaluations as we speak. And he's at the point now he just doesn't know what to do. And that is one of the many reports we get in that particular area. That is not unique. It always seems to be something like that. I have never taken a report where, people hear he's got red eyes or something like that. I've never heard that. It's either been always blue or yellow. But in this particular area, it's yellow. But he said this thing was just massive. He said it had the huge mane. It had the huge ears. He said it looked like a Doberman Pinscher, kind of. A cross between a Doberman Pinscher and a German Shepherd. But he said the thing, it looked like it was smiling at him. And he goes, it just pointed at him. And he said when it pointed at him, he basically said he had a Charmin moment. He had to go and clean up. He said that's how scared he was. And then he said he waited till daylight. He was hiding in the closet with his gun until daylight, and then he just got in his truck and he left. And he go back for like 2 weeks, and he went back and with his buddies, and he grabbed some of his stuff, and that was it. And when he went back the second time, he said there was digigrade footprints all around the place. It had just rained, and there was footprints all over the place. And whatever
How big were these prints?
He says the size of a dinner plate.
Wow.
He said, and it was digigrade. You see the pads. And this guy's completely he's completely freaked out these days. It's actually very sad because how do you help someone like that? You know, how do you help this guy have a good night? How do you help this guy go back to sleep? It's just one of these things. It's going to take time. But here's a guy who basically works a job where he puts his life on the line every day, and he goes home to something like that. It's just terrifying. I've seen the area where this reportedly came from, and this is a place we had a report about 6 years ago, and I've actually talked about this. About 6 years ago, we had a report. A gentleman was backpacking, and he was going through Brown Mountain, Black Mountain, and he says he saw this little fur ball run in front of him, and he didn't know what the hell it was, and all of a sudden he feel like something grabbed him from behind and threw him. And he got concussed. I don't know if you remember me telling you this story, but he got concussed and he came out of the woods. And he had this Osprey backpack, the real good ones where you have the, 1 day, adventure packs with the clip right here. It's, about $200 backpack with the ballistic nylon. Right. And when he showed me his backpack, the ballistic nylon had been stretched, and you could see where a hand had to have been probably this big, had grabbed it and stretched it. But the other thing that was very interesting is where the tips of the fingers have been. There was holes in the entire bag. So now I'm starting to think that wasn't a Bigfoot. I'm starting to think maybe that was a Dogman, because that he never saw anything. All he saw was the fuzzball, and that wasn't too far from that area. Very, very interesting area up there. A lot of folklore, a lot of reports. What's very weird about that particular area is since we had the hurricane, was that 2 years ago? Yeah. Since we had the hurricane 2 years ago, pretty much all of the trails, we can say pretty much all of them, right?
Yeah.
They're all been closed.
Not just closed, they're acting like they never existed.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We have maps that show these trails that were there, and after the hurricane, we don't, that never existed. So it's a very strange place. We've actually done some investigating up there. We talked to a couple of guys that were in charge. I'm not going to give their names, but we started talking about it, and then I gave him my card, and he goes, "What's this?" And then he disappears in his office. We're talking to his friend, and you could see he was looking it up on the computer. And he came back out and handed my card. He goes, I can't talk to you. He goes, you guys just need to leave. And this is in a public area. I mean, this was something. Like I said, I don't like giving all details. I'll tell you everything you want to know off air. But it was a situation. I think we were very uncomfortable with that.
Oh yeah.
Because this situation, like people were coming out of other offices, and there's just the two of us.
It was like a little bit of a
and you're seeing that happening, and it was very uncomfortable. In fact, we left. We just left because you just never know. You don't want to tick the wrong people off. Very, very active area though. Now I've got another report here that is from 1913 in downtown Asheville. I'm sorry, 1915, and basically it talks about something called the Asheville Masonic Temple, and allegedly having a room where the members go to transform into werewolves. And this was actually a report. It's almost comical. Now this takes place in 1915, as I said. The third floor theater is famous for its 80 hand-painted scenery backdrops, including ancient Egyptian and biblical landscapes. The building's true secret lies beneath its tiled lobby. For over a century, rumors have persisted of a secret tunnel beneath the temple. Investigative sensors of the basement once identified a chamber near the former private bowling alley. Now, what's funny about that is you heard that sensors once indicated that. You know who that was?
No.
Me. That was me. We found this tunnel. And this is just something that popped up. Someone sent this to us. And as I'm reading it, I'm like, we did that. We're the ones that found it. But the whole werewolf thing had never been in there before. So we just got a kick out of it. That was me and Josh years ago. We were on TV we did a whole TV special with it. It was actually kind of funny. But and this the bowling alley was abnormally even. That's not really true. It's kind of even. But it suggested there was a hollow space designed to hide those transitioning during the full moon. This Grand Master's Rite was a local evolution of clinical lycanthropy, where members of Asheville's elite believed they could harness the warrior spirit found in the Scots, Irish, and Cherokee folklore. So, in other words, allegedly, the guys in the Masonic Lodge are werewolves, which I can honestly tell you, I don't think that's true.
Let me ask you: were these creatures attacking anybody?
No.
Like, did they attack this gentleman who had this close encounter, or were they almost, how can I put it, almost like stalking him?
Well, see, stalking's one thing. I think they might have been stalking him, but here's the thing: I've had people talk about, over the years, I've like friends we know in common, people that we consider, pretty good in the subject. Dogman attacks they don't want to attack you. They just want to scare the bejesus out of you. Now there's a lot of stories about Dogman attacks and blah, blah, blah. And, and especially in Appalachia, I don't buy them. And here's the reason: there'd be a body count. Does that make sense? You'd have to have people disappearing and then how are you going to hide that kind of murder? I don't think it's possible. But I think what they like to do is Dark Waters. I don't know if you remember Dark Waters. He had a podcast. He coined him the crypto terrorist. He said for some reason they just like to terrify people, and I really believe that. That was years ago. But I believe they just like to scare the bejesus out of people. Now a werewolf, that's a different thing. That's someone that wants to eat your heart or wants to eat your organ. Does that make sense? So there's like the difference. A werewolf is going to kill you. A Dogman troll just wants to scare you. And I've seen, or I've heard stories where Dogman, or and again, it's hard to distinguish between who's what, but where people will be at home or something like that, and they'll just get terrorized all night. This thing will surround their house. It'll pull the cable out. They won't have power. Their phones don't work. It's usually during some kind of storm, but they just seem to enjoy terrifying people.
Don't they even like jump on roofs?
Oh yeah, they'll jump on roofs. They'll rip. I've actually got pictures. I have a Dogman from a couple of years ago, a Dogman report in Tennessee, about 30 miles this way, where this woman was living on a land that used to be Native American, and she said that one night in November, she hears all this like noise on the top of her roof, and she goes out there and she says it's an 8-foot werewolf pulling tile off of her roof, trying to get in through the attic. Now that was a very interesting story. We actually have pictures of its footprints and where it was trying to come through. And when she realized what part of the roof it was on, it really scared her because her daughter's window was basically right there and it was coming through on that side. So basically it was trying to come through the daughter, to get the daughter. It's just scary stuff like that happens quite often. And, that's Appalachia. We get a lot of these reports. We had a Dogmen report we investigated not too long ago. And where was that? In
Tennessee.
What part though?
Rocky Top.
Rocky Top. We were in Rocky Top, Tennessee. We investigate this one Dogman report. It turns in like 10 others. We found footprints, tracks, claw marks. We found everything. And, it's just, there's definitely something there. But that's just, the way it is around Appalachia. I think a lot of people are 100% aware they're here, but they just have a different way of dealing with it. It's like these old stories here. That story's from 1915. Mm-hmm. There's another story about, the Biltmore basements, and that's in 1895. And that's a fascinating story. This is about the Biltmore house. And you're familiar with the Biltmore house, right? The Vanderbilt estate.
Yes.
It was, it's a 175,000 square foot house. And it was built in the Gilded Age. It was designed by Richard Morris Hunt. And it was designed to be a castle in the air. That was what they wanted. They wanted this castle in the air look. I don't think they got that. I don't think that's what it looks like.
It's like a great big house.
Yeah, it's beneath its French Renaissance facade. It's housed. It housed a curse known as old as the Epic of Gilgamesh, where the first recorded lycanthropy was transformed by a goddess in anger. A gentleman named Merrick, a stonemason from the old country, basically ironstone, had carried a limestone thirst, a form of lycanthropy rooted in the 16th century French legends of Giles Garner. Now, the werewolf of Dole, who is said to have the same issue, and he basically was given an enchanted ointment so he could shift forms, had been connected to this gentleman named Merrick, who was a stonemason there, found refuge in the unfinished music room in the subterranean cabin of the raw brick house. Now, what that means is there was a part of the house that wasn't finished, and this guy would basically go down there and transform for the night and lock himself up, not be hurt, not hurt people. This is a very old story about that. I've heard this story a million times from this place. And basically what ended up happening is people in the know, or the Vanderbilts allegedly, knew this was happening, and they actually had a underground limestone cavern built. And when I say cavern, I mean basically what they did was they dug out the part, made it covered in limestone, had a basement with a massive door, so Merrick could literally go in there and not hurt anyone when he transformed, because he was considered one of the best brick masons they had. Very strange story, but this also coincides with the clinical lycanthropy documented in 19th century medical literature, where patients suffer from delusion of metamorphosis. So we're not sure if this guy actually transformed, which again, I feel about that, or he was just completely delusional and they fed into his delusional. They had the money to kind of make him feel comfortable, and we don't know. But the fact is that this legend's been going around Asheville for quite a while. It's very interesting because at this particular time, when they have the Biltmore estate, they bought all the way to something called Mount Pisgah, and it was 196,000 acres or something like that. Mm-hmm. Massive. And that was just a ton of Cherokee land, and the folklore and mythos involved with that, just I can't even imagine. But again, these are just rumors and legends that have happened in Asheville that have been documented. And what really makes me laugh is the fact that they would actually take time to write this down, and put it in a historic narrative. And the guy's name checks out. He worked for him. They knew he lived there for years after he stayed around as basically a custodian and keep things, the aesthetics of the place right, because he was one of the original people that built it, specifically if the facade fell. They had issues with the mortar falling for a little bit after the house opened. So they kept some of the originals open. This guy also carved some of the other stuff around Asheville. Very interesting story on him. But again, it's one of these questions. They're not based.
Well, on that note, as Christian battles his computer signal, we will get ready to ship off from the first half of the show, coming into hour number 2 and 3 coming up here. I guess we are in hour 2. The second half of Spaced Out Radio is what I'm trying to say. So hopefully it comes back very, very quickly. Monster Talk. Do you believe in werewolves? Do you think they are tracking people the way that Christian was saying? I think they are. And it's scary. But are they werewolves or are they dogmen?
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Jerence Carter. Hello, Christian and Christina.
Sorry about it. Just time. I don't know what happened.
I know. D. Henderson, how are you tonight, love? Let's see here. Number 1, Nicole Sackich, how are you? And there we go.
Janosqua thing ate his computer.
Yeah.
Hello, Scoose. How are you? I know it's Scouse, but Scoose is fun to say too.
Goose is cooler. Sounds like a small flightless bird.
I like to eat a lot of Scoose.
Goose.
Spruce goose.
Where's Paramarv? He never answered me.
You know, if he was hanging out with Merle, you'd have Paramarv and Paramerle.
They got married. It'd be Paramarvel. A werewolf on Star could punish a human. Yes, that's true.
We're going to get some audience questions in the next half hour.
Oh. Janosqua.
Genasqa.
I think so.
Isn't
Something
it?
like that. It's just the way it's spelled. Sounds like it's spelled. You can Google it. It'll pop it up. I ain't afraid of no werewolf. That's because you've never seen one. Middletown Mike.
Right. I'm collecting questions as we speak.
You collect it.
Where did I put that? I put that around here somewhere. Or is it out with the other stuff? I don't know. Figure it out.
Yeah, it's, somebody spelled it right. It's Genosqua, yeah, or WA. Yeah. Right there.
We need Super Dupe here in order to translate that.
Janosqua. No. The face.
Hey, Aaron the Tree, how are you? He doesn't know about CaribouCon, but he's trying to make it to Nebraska in April.
I'm not going to be there in Nebraska, man.
Yeah, but I will.
Invited back. Dave did.
I got called back.
Everyone loves Dave.
That's all right. I've been told no matter where I rank after this year, I don't get to come back next year.
I outranked you this year. I was still number 1.
I was number 1.
No, you weren't.
You were number 2 by like.
I was not. I didn't even cheat this year.
He totally cheated last year. He went in and changed some.
Why you got to tell Dave that?
Well, he was there. He saw you do it.
You
know
put on a hell of a presentation,
I
buddy.
do. I'll shake it. I'll grease that bacon up. You know, I'll do it.
Grease that pole.
Grease that
What are
pole.
you going to talk about up here?
Whatever you want me to.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'd like to do a comparative difference between your area and my area.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, because I'm looking forward to that. The Wampus cat throughout the Appalachia could be a dogman. Nicole, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Problem is people, they get confused on what they see sometimes.
Nicole's awesome.
Nicole looks like she'd be awesome. I like her picture. She seems nice.
She looks thoughtful.
She looks thoughtful. Yes.
She is a brilliant, brilliant mind in the UFO world.
Yeah.
That's cool. She likes my MUFON hat.
She's one of Grant Cameron's research partners.
That's cool. I want to come on your show when you're interviewing someone else. I want to be like your co-host. I want to see how that would go.
We could do that.
That'd be funny.
All right, we got 30 seconds here. Thank you to Kitty Cattywhack, our lone super chatter of the night. Thank you to everybody who's given us a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, it helps with the algorithm, so we'd greatly appreciate if you could do that for us. And don't forget, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. We're coming back in 5 seconds. Second half of Spaced Out Radio is underway. We got the Cryptid Gee, Christian MacLeod, and Christina from American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. We're going to get into some audience questions right now for these guys. We're going to start off with a couple from Nicole here. First and foremost, what about the Nanahe, Cherokee little people or spirits that are sometimes helpful or sometimes deceptive?
And that's actually the meaner version of a or the meaner version of a Dogman or Janosqua. The little people are something different. I have actually seen, I'm convinced I saw a little person in Western North Carolina by a graveyard about 2 o'clock in the morning. I just had this little thing run by me. But those are always deceptive. I've never, ever heard a story about the little people helping anyone without something happening mischievously or, that didn't result in a death. So I wouldn't trust the little people. But they're always deceptive. In fact, the legends around here, they'll tell you if you see little people, run the other way, or if you hear giggling in the forest, leave. So there's something you don't want to mess with. Good question, though. Thank you.
Especially when they start mimicking voices to lure you in.
Well, the other thing is they are very much attracted to shiny objects. I know it sounds weird, but if you have like a gold chain or something on and you have it and you're wearing it and they see it, they will attack you for it. They'll do whatever it takes to get it.
If you've done them wrong, I know one of our First Nation bands around here, they have little people running around there. They even know where the village is. And I've been told you have to go up a mountain, one of the mountains here, and then you come across, when you can drive no further, you come across the great grizzly bear spirit. And then the grizzly bear spirit will tell you whether or not you can continue up the path. If you could continue hiking up the path and you got permission, about a mile more up the road, 1.5 miles, you will apparently come to this village of little people that's in the middle of the forest. Up about.
Yeah, I would do that.
I wouldn't do it either. I mean, I don't need no Gulliver's Travels happening.
Well, the Native American folklore is really clear on these things, and it doesn't depend. It doesn't matter if it's Cherokee, Seminole, Abenaki. They all say the same damn thing. Stay away from them. And the Boston Triangle, I know you're familiar with that. The Dover Demon, he's actually considered one of the little people, and he's the same. It's nothing but trouble. The one witness report I actually heard at a convention once, the guy, you could tell something had happened to him because he had that shell shock look, but he started telling a story and he was crying, and basically he said he had a gold chain on his neck. And it was glinting in the sunlight, and he had walked his dog, and then at night he was walking his dog again. Looks like we're calling down here. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. And apparently what had happened was the entity or the creature saw it, during the day, and at night when he was walking his dog, they basically grabbed his dog and attacked him and took his gold chain and just beat the crap out of him, like they were hitting him with rocks, all kinds of stuff. That's just some of the stories I've heard. It's just crazy stuff like that you never know. It's just stuff like that, and it's just I've never heard anything good happening with the little people.
Friend of mine on the reserve, his mother lost her keys or something, but they thought that they noticed other things going missing too, like her jewelry. So I said to him one day, I said, "Oh, what are you up to this weekend?" He goes, "Man, I'm making jewelry and everything." And I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Because the little people, we need them to return my mom's stuff." And so what happens is when you make a donation back to them, you have to leave it in a private area. So in this case, they left it in the mom's bedroom, and they went downstairs so they could hear the little people up in her bedroom, and they were trading trinkets, and all her jewelry and her keys came back, and everything that they made for the little people was taken. So
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Like I said, and again, even in all the folklore, sometimes in the Cherokee version, they're described as like basically miniature Bigfoots. They're covered with hair from head to toe, incredibly strong, very fast, but they're just very cruel. They're just not nice.
Wouldn't that be puckwudgies that are like that?
Well, that's puckwudgies are more puckwudgies, apple snitches. That's more the northeastern corridor. But that's the Cherokee version of little people. Some of them are furry, but it was either way, just something I want to deal with.
All right, let's get to another question from Nicole here, who is asking about the Dogman reports. Have you ever had any reports of Dogman wearing uniforms or being armored?
No, and that I've heard those reports. That's usually from South America. That came out about 10, 15 years ago. There was an issue that happened in South America where basically there was a sighting of what it looked like a group of Anubis landing that were completely armored in full body armor, and they just went right into the jungle. So I don't know how accurate that is, but that came from that report.
There are also reports of that happening in Afghanistan too.
Yeah, but they were completely armored up. Someone I talked to that was in Texas said that the way it was explained to him was that they looked like an Anubis with armor on, and they had weapons. But they were
The report I heard out of Afghanistan was they had those giant swords with the hooks on them.
Yeah, that's I've heard that too.
All right, let's go to another question. Let's go to Karen here. I think there is an underground base somewhere between Marion, North Carolina, and Linville Gorge. Do they know, that would be you guys, know where that might be located? I know that there is stuff going on around Cashiers as well.
Cashiers, there's Cashiers has more UFO reports than Marion. Marion is more of a Bigfoot area. I have worked in Marion for quite a long time, and I know that area real well. Linville Gorge, we've done several shows for the Discovery Channel and Travel Channel out there. That is all Bigfoot hotspots out there. I seriously doubt there's an underground base. If there was an underground base, it would be more in Cashiers.
May well be a cave system, though.
Well, I was just about to say that. Now, I'm a firm believer. I have a theory called the cryptid cave system theory, and I've been spouting that for years. And my theory is that these cave systems come all the way from Kentucky down here through Georgia, pretty much, right around Florida is probably in. But I think there's cave systems that go all throughout the northeastern corridor, and that's probably what a lot of cryptids use to travel, so they're not seen. But if I had to say UFO base, it would definitely be, or underground base, that'd be Cashiers. It's definitely Marion. I'm telling you, Marion. I would definitely bet that Marion would not be a place to put a base. That's not the kind of area you would want to be in.
All right, let's get to another question. Let's go to Jose here for a pair. Do you think that dogmen or rakes, due to their more recent appearances, might be the result of a secret ET DNA experimentation?
Well, rakes, they're relatively new. And I've had several rake reports, but not a whole lot. ETDNA, I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. Why would they bother? What does that benefit them or us? But then again, it's one of these things you never know. I just don't think so. I think they're more of a ghoul. I think rakes are basically what we would call a ghoul. I just think that's what it is. I think dogmen are definitely biological entities tied to Earth. Like I said, we've got so many. I mean, for everyone that doesn't believe in dogmen, look at the original version of Saint Christopher. All right, just Google the original version of Saint Christopher, and you're going to see a cynocephaly, dog-headed man. Look through the list of historical accounts through cynocephaly, and they're all through the historic accounts. So I think they're just personal. I personally believe that they're natural beings. But I don't think they have anything to do with rakes. I think rakes are what we would call ghouls. That's what I think rakes are.
I don't think Dogman really is a recent appearance.
No.
It's more recent that we've been talking about them and calling them dogmen. But I think dogmen's people knowing about dogmen goes back as far as legends of werewolves go. Different ancient.
And that could be. I mean, we have no idea. Let's go to another question here. Let's go over to Jose again. Are werewolves and dogmen the same phenomena in your opinion?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Is I think they're, I think you get a lot of werewolves sightings that are actually dogmen. And again, I don't necessarily believe in werewolves until I see a human being and I'm talking about the werewolf in the original sense, where a human being transmogrifies or turns into a wolf. That's what I mean by werewolf. Because you have werebears and you have you have there's all different kinds of bears. It depends on what the curses are, but I don't think those exist. I'd have to see that. I think I can speak for my associate saying that you'd have to see that too in order to believe it. But I think what happens, I think everyone knows what a werewolf is from the TV and movies. And when they see a dogman, they have no other way to compare it. Just saying, oh, it's a werewolf. So I think that's what happens. I think most werewolf shows, most werewolf reports, are probably all dogmen.
When we started talking about this, after we both went separately and were doing our research on different reports of werewolves, we started talking with each other about, are you getting werewolves or are these dogmen? And when we started talking about that and discussing, are they really reporting a werewolf or are they reporting a dogman sighting and they're just calling it a werewolf? I went and started looking back at all of the accounts and looking for anything that described them seeing actual transformation happening, or whether they were describing seeing any human clothes or human attributes, anything that could say that definitely was at one time a human on what they were looking at. I couldn't find anything like that. I couldn't find anything in the reports. The ones that purported to be, even the really, really old ones, legends, most of the ones that said that they were definitely these people or this family was because of a curse that the family was supposed to have been under,
a bloodline,
or some rumor in the area, or some reputation of some family member that made them think that this creature we saw is some member of this cursed family. There was never anything that said that they saw someone from this family transform into this creature. So just the fact that they had humanoid bipedal bodies, or that they had hand-like front appendages that had claws on them but looked more like a hand than a paw, or that they had some kind of mannerisms that looked like the one that pointed at the guy that made them seem human-like. Those are the closest things that descriptions that we found anywhere in there that said that they could have been a human at some point. I couldn't find anything that couldn't be explained as an intelligent creature that is a dogman just imitating human Gestures.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is you're never going to find anyone that says, "Oh yeah, I watched this thing transmogrify." Yeah, that's the big thing I have. If there was a bunch of witnesses that watched someone transform into a werewolf, even then, what have you guys been drinking? So it's one of those things. And again, I hate saying it, but Dave, until I see it, I'm not going to buy it. I think all the old ancient werewolf prophecies and all the folklore, I think they're just mistakenly dogmen. I think it's xenocephala. I think it's what exactly it is.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Scoose here, who is asking opinions on the moon. What do you think is up there? I was staring at it tonight. Full moon too.
Well, it's a blood moon here. You guys have the blood moon up there?
We did have the blood moon up here, yeah.
I mean,
it doesn't get red for 3 more hours.
Yeah, I know, but still. What do I think's up there? I mean, if I'm being honest, I believe it's an alien base up there. I believe we've had knowledge of that since Neil Armstrong went up there. You've got so much evidence that says that we were up there, and there was that 25 minutes of lost footage, and then they basically didn't they leave early?
Oh yeah,
they left, and then they came back from the dark side and said, "We got to go. Time to leave." So I think there's a base up there. At one point they say the moon was part of the Earth, and then there was that comment, and that's how it's whether it's true or not. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I think it's definitely in use for some reason. I think there's aliens up there. Why wouldn't there be? That's the other thing. We know there's water up there. There's liquid water or frozen water. I mean, we know that's up there. So where there's water, there's life, right? So why wouldn't they be up there?
I would agree. I think there are secret bases, and I think we even have human bases up there.
That's the other thing. I didn't want to get into that, but I'm a firm. You can't tell me all these rockets we got going up and down. We don't even know what's getting launched. Even since St. Elon took over for SpaceX, we don't know what's happening. We have no idea how much is going up there. And the way they do the way they explained the way they're going to build stuff, it's actually brilliant. They're just bringing in airbags. They fill them up, and then, they create oxygen in there, and they go from there, and they just build more and more and more. So it doesn't seem like it's a complex strategy to build a base up there. It really doesn't. I think the hard part is just getting the air. And if they can separate the oxygen out of the water that's frozen up there, and that doesn't seem to be very hard, they can probably do that. So we have no idea what's up there.
Jose again. Have dogmen ever been spotted in the Florida area before?
Florida is a hot spot.
Yes, by me.
Florida.
Anytime.
Christine saw him when she. Chris, go ahead and tell him a story. This happened long before I was in the picture, but go ahead.
When we first started talking, actually, I was one of the people who didn't know that dogmen was a thing as a cryptid, and had referred to them in different ways over the years. When Christian and I first started talking, and I first started talking to his cryptid guy crew and doing the podcast stuff, I was like, dogmen, that's a thing? I think I saw them many, many times. People convinced me that I was crazy. But when I was 4, I started seeing this huge dog. It would watch me over the backyard fence, and it would come every night and hang out, and I could see it looking over the fence. The fence was 6-7 feet tall, so it was up there, and nobody believed me. No one ever believed me. And when we first started talking, he was like, "Did you know about this?" And my mom's like, "Oh yeah, shit's crazy." He's like, "No, really."
We also do every year. We go down to Mayaca State Park, and we do a dogman investigation there because of the information we found there. We have found nests. I've actually talked to rangers that have seen these things. It's a big. Florida is a huge spot for them. I think if you're ever going to find definitive proof, it's going to be Florida, Texas, or Louisiana, or Maine for either dogman or Bigfoot. Probably up in your neck of the woods too.
Yeah.
It's just going to be some guy lucky with a camera. But the problem is, if you don't have biological proof, which would be a dead body, which I just want to say again for the record, we are totally no kill.
Oh,
There's
goodness,
absolutely
no.
reason. There's no reason to kill
There's no reason
anything.
to
I
hunt.
agree on that. Yeah.
No reason. And you know what? If you can get a fingernail, hey man, give me a, I'll give you this. Give me this candy bar. Give me a fingernail. You don't need to kill anything. But until you have a body, science is never gonna. And even then, that's the other thing. People.
No, I get it. I totally get it. People need to look for these strange anomalies. Although I will say this, as we wait for Christian and Christina having a little bit of computer trouble to come back in, I will say this though. I think the West Coast is where you're going to find a lot more opportunity to find Sasquatch. The West Coast, I think, is a lot more open and expansive to the fact that there's probably a lot more of them hanging on out. I think Bigfoot for the West Coast, Christian.
I don't know, man. I think the West Coast is just it's too populated. I don't think you're going to get anything fair out of there. If you get something in Louisiana, Texas, or Maine, it's empty enough where people can, or these things have enough room to move and roam free. California's big, but look how.
Well, let's see if I can answer any of these questions. Do you get reports of what appears to be a naturally evolved cryptid, such as a short-nosed bear becoming a bipedal bear person with a higher intelligence, the ability to speak English? I like that question. I do. From Blue Cruise. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think anything has been able to manifest itself with that, although there seems to be a lot more videos of bears coming out that are actually walking on 2 feet. But once again, I don't trust videos anymore. Not with the way AI has kind of taken off, especially in the last 12 months. I just don't trust the videos anymore. They're getting way too good. But could a bear eventually evolve into that? Why not? They haven't yet. They've been around for tens of thousands of years. But who knows? It may actually happen. And the other thing too is, if these cryptid creatures are out there, which I believe they are, because I've seen Sasquatch, I often wonder, when are we going to have like bear and Sasquatch interaction together? When is somebody going to catch something like that going on?
Well, we've had videos, alleged videos, but I'm with you. The AI is so good now, we don't know what's real. I've seen 3 or 4 different videos of like a grizzly bear fighting a Sasquatch over, lunch, a deer, a body they find, and opportunistic eating, but you don't know if it's real or not. That's the problem. The AI is too good.
Let's go over to Lisa, who is wondering if there's any dogmen in Virginia.
Oh yeah, that's in the Appalachians. Anywhere in Appalachia, I'm talking Eastern Seaboard, mountainous regions, you're going to have them. I mean, I have had literally reports on pretty much from every state in the country except Hawaii. And that's because Hawaii's isolated all by itself out there. They have little people. They don't have the things they're dealing with here. But every state in the Union, including Canada and South America, pretty much all the countries in South America, all have dogman reports. Solo Lobo. I mean, if Lobo, what do they call them? Lobo, lone wolves. If you Google lone wolf in South America, you'll pop up stories about dogmen in South America. Apparently, South America's got a huge dogman population. There's also been Bigfoot reports out of South America. So I mean, let's not leave South America out of the game here, because they've got plenty of space out there.
Mexico and Central America too.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking the whole South American continent.
All the way down.
All the way down.
Christian, we have about 40 seconds with you left here tonight. Tell everybody where they can find A.C.A.P.S and what you do.
They can find us on American Cryptid and Paranormal Society.com or simply cryptidguy.com. All of our digital media is there. We would love it if people would follow and subscribe to our Instagram and, of course, X. We've been trying to build that back up. We actually got canceled by X before Elon took it over. We had almost 5,000 subscribers. Then one day we woke up and it was gone. And we never got a reason. So we're still trying to build that back up. But we would really, really appreciate a like and subscribe on not only our YouTube channel, but all our other digital media. Just love to be here, man. Thank you so very much.
Christian and Christina from A.C.A.P.S. Coming up next, we have Swamp Dweller. Robin Haynes will be here for the Q&A. We'll be right back, everybody.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right. Do you guys want to stick around with Robin?
Yeah, well, listen, we're having problems with the camera. The camera keeps going in and out.
Why don't you just do a quick reboot while I'm gone?
All right, that's a good idea.
All right, be right back, everybody. Be right back. All right. There's Robin.
Hey.
And there's Cryptid Gee and Cryptes Gee. Apparently, I missed during this show a couple of giant sonic booms over British Columbia. Yeah, apparently there must have been a meteor or two that came down. So that's kind of cool. Hey, Cryptid Gee, your microphone isn't hooked up, neither is your camera. Fix your microphone and camera. We'll bring them back when they're ready. Hi, Robin. Your hair looks great tonight.
Oh, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm all right.
Good.
All right. Tim Mothman and your goatee. Nice to see you both. I'm in the basement of my house, man. Our headquarters. That's where I am. We got about 25 seconds. We got one lone super chatter tonight. It's Kitty Cattywhack. Thank you very much, my dear, for your love and support. And if you haven't already, do us a favor. Hit subscribe. Ring that bell.
Yeah.
Give us a thumbs up. We'd appreciate it. All right, guys. We're coming back in 5 seconds. Swamp Dweller will be just under 3 minutes. Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. How y'all doing? My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in as we have Robin Haynes and Swamp Dweller coming up next. But first, I want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Heterotrichosis. Heterotrichosis is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. I remember it like yesterday. Even though it's been almost a year, my friends and I had planned a hunting trip for turkey deep in the woods of northern Michigan. We had gone on many hunts before, but this one was different. Something was off from the moment we arrived at the campsite. We set up camp and started our hunt early the following day. We were deep in the woods and it was eerily quiet. We could hear each other's breath and the crunching of the leaves beneath our feet. I was leading the way when I saw something move in the distance. It was a turkey, and I signaled to my friends to follow me quietly. We were stalking the turkey for quite some time when we finally came across what looked to be a clearing. Turkey was out there, and we were finally close enough to take a shot. I raised my shotgun and aimed, but the turkey moved as I pulled the trigger and missed. I could hear my friends laughing behind me, but something strange happened. The turkey didn't fly away like they usually would. Instead, it just stood there, staring at us both with its beady eyes. Then, all of a sudden, the turkey started to grow. It got bigger and bigger until it was almost as tall as a man. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I looked over at my friends who were just as scared as I was to make sure they were seeing the same thing. We slowly started to back away from the turkey, but it didn't move. It just stood there, staring at us. That's when we heard it, a loud growling noise coming from the trees. We all froze, not sure what to do. Then out of nowhere, a pack of wolves appeared. They snarled and bared their teeth. We knew we were in trouble, and we started to run, but the wolves were way too fast encircling us. They were closing in on us fast, and we could hear their hot breath on our heels. We kept running until we came across a small cave. We dove inside and huddled together, hoping the wolves wouldn't find us. We waited for quite some time in that cave. listening to the wolves howling outside. Eventually, the noise died down and we knew leaving would be safe. We emerged from the shelter and returned to camp. But there were always different areas to hunt after that, obviously, and that's where we would go from now on. Now, whenever I go hunting, I just can't shake that feeling that something is watching me. And I'm just absolutely terrified, and Mother Nature definitely threw me through a loop that night. I don't know what that turkey thing was, though, and if anybody has any idea of what that might have been, please explain it to us. I should explain that I was sober of mind. We don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't do anything like that.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories for you to listen to all the time. And from the swamp to the monsters, Robin Haynes, here she comes.
Robin Haynes walks soft where the tall trees sway. She hears Bigfoot whisper what the wind won't say. Through the veil of the forest where the wild man plays. The Bigfoot psychic talks to Sasquatch every day. Only on Spaced Out Radio's Cryptic Q&A.
All right, Robin Haynes, it is always a pleasure to have you here. How you doing, beautiful?
I am good. How are you doing?
I am wonderful, and I can't wait to talk some monsters with you. And sticking around tonight, because we're all such good friends, we have Cryptid Gee and Cryptid Lady, Christina. It's good to see you.
Hi, Robin.
Hey, Robin.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good.
Pleasure.
There you go.
Oh, and that just is the scariest thing ever. It looks like Dr. Evil.
I was going for that look.
Well, it's starting to warm up around most of North America now, and you know, we start seeing a lot of movement in here. And Christian was talking about werewolves earlier because he got a couple of reports out of werewolves out of the Appalachian Mountains. What do you think werewolves are, Robin?
Well, the one that we've got that is across the driveway, he claimed he was a part of a government experiment from 2011. And that he got released in 2014. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's what he claims. I don't ever have a problem with him. Like, he's as sweet as can be. I don't necessarily know that I personally, doesn't mean it's right, personally believe in this whole transition thing that they do. Although they do shapeshift. So, I mean, could that be what they're referring to when they're doing the whole transition from like a human form into a werewolf form, that kind of thing? Anything is possible because they do shapeshift. All of these cryptids shapeshift.
What do you think about that, Christian?
I like Robin. I don't want Robin. I got to see it to believe it. It's like I've been saying. I believe in a lot, but there's a lot I have to see to believe in, and shapeshifting is a big one with me.
I've only seen one Sasquatch that has shapeshifted. Like, I watched it shapeshift 3 different ways. I physically watched it. And up until then, I was one of those that, as much as I've seen, as much as I've experienced, I was very skeptical of it. I do have a very, very hard time believing in the typical werewolf thing where you see this guy standing as a human and he transfers over there. They shapeshift. I've seen them. That I believe. I probably wouldn't have believed it had I not physically seen it. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon with this. They're a human and then they turn into a werewolf. And I absolutely do not believe in this whole, when the moon comes up, this is what, I think that's been fabricated in storylines for movies and those kinds of things. But I'm not going to say that they don't shapeshift, because I have seen ETs that shapeshifted. I did have where it was on my security cameras, and I physically watched this because I had the app I downloaded on my tablet so I could see the deer outside. We would get tons of deer in my front yard every night. And I watched this thing come in my yard that was the size of an elk, only it was like a dark, dark black color. And it walked up to my tree line, which are all 30, 40-foot pine trees. I mean, they're not little tiny trees. And it stood up on the hind legs, and then with the front legs, it's like reaching and grabbing branches and pulling it down. And I'm like, what in the world? This thing was massive. was bizarre. I watched it come back down, walk towards my garage, morph into a Sasquatch. The thing walked over, sat down. I know how crazy this sounds. Walked over, sat down on the step on my front porch. And I always put bird food out in the middle of the yard for the birds. And this thing waddled. Like when we were kids, we would sit on the back of our calves and waddle like a duck. And it did that all the way to that bird feed. And then it's reaching down with its hand and it's eating the bird food. And next thing I know, I watched it literally morph into a raccoon. And then it ran off. I had to watch that over and over. I can't tell you how many times. Otherwise, I would not have believed it. Like, it sounds absolutely insane. It still sounds insane. And this was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, actually longer than that, I think. But I saw it. But I don't really follow with the belief system that it's a human, and when the moon comes up, they turn into a werewolf. That I really don't.
I don't buy that. I just don't. To me, I think it's just mistaken identity for Dogman. They're just trying to find an excuse for what a Janosqua or Dogman is.
Well, I know the one across the driveway says he's a werewolf. He swears he's a werewolf. What I have noticed is with the werewolves, I don't see tails. The Dogman, wolf people, whatever you want to call them, I generally see a tail on. So whether or not that's significant, I don't know. But I agree with Christian to the fact that I think a lot of them that they say are werewolves are actually a Dogman. But I know that there are some that claim to be a werewolf. Like I said, the one across the driveway, that's what he's always said he was. He's massive. Like, he's much bigger than a Dogman. I have a picture of his face coming out of a portal. And he's always been very kind. But he claims that he was a government experiment in 2011. And I said, well, how long have you been here? And he said, well, they released me in 2014. So, again, that's what it's saying. I wasn't there when it happened. But I absolutely have to agree with Christian. I don't really partake in the belief system of there's a human walking around and then the moon comes up, and it turns into a werewolf. I had people contact me back in 2012. There's a guy that contacted me that swore that that's what was happening to him. And honestly, I read the energy signatures. I do the whole truth and that kind of thing with it, where you can tell if it's a truth or a lie. I think that in his head, he believed that. I don't think he was trying to be dishonest. That's not what I thought was going on.
We have a guy that contacts us every once in a while.
I don't remember.
I feel bad. I can't remember his name, but he calls us every once in a while, and he tells us he's a werewolf. It's Jose, the werewolf.
Yes.
Jose, the werewolf from
Yes.
L.A. And he tells us that he's transforming. And he lets us. One time, he let us hear it on the phone. He wouldn't FaceTime or anything, but it was interesting. It's hard sometimes because on the 800 number we get a lot of phone calls from and some people are just maybe just need a little attention. But Jose was calling us pretty much every month when he's about to transform, and then he'd call us and he let us listen one time, and he was doing this whole thing where he's like, and you heard his shirt rip, and then it stopped, and he goes, "Oh, hold on," and he continued to rip his shirt. Very interesting, but we never got any proof out of him. Then he 2 minutes later goes, "Oh, what happened? I'm back." So we've just never had we've never seen anything.
I personally, in my experiences, I've never seen anybody transform like that. I don't rule anything off, in all fairness to everybody. Like, I don't rule it out just because I haven't seen it, but it is not something that I have a whole lot of faith in. I guess that would be the best way to put it.
I'm with you 100%. I'm 98% sure it's not real, but I'll give that 2% chance that maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Because if someone can transform into something like that, and well, I don't want to see it unless it's on video because I don't want to be there because I don't want to be lunch. But
well, like I said, I do know that the cryptids, I've seen the ETs that when they've shapeshifted, had seen them physically do it. So, that I can go along with. I physically seen it, and it blew my mind when I watched that one Sasquatch do it. But the whole werewolf thing, the same thing with the vampires. I have a problem with that. I think that that's a whole nother thing as well. I'm not saying that vampires
are real too, but I don't think they shapeshift. I don't think any of that stuff's real. I mean, I'm with you.
I think there's parts of it that are true, and that parts of it that maybe they believe it to be true. If that's the case, I have not seen it. I guess that's the best way to put it. I will give people the benefit of the doubt, because just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Right.
Well, I mean, we feel the same way, but like again, any kind of transmogrification from a human being into any kind of animal or whatever, or like even going back to vampire folklore, like, you know, turning into a fog bank or a bunch of rats, something like that. I got to see it. I'm not. It's too much.
I think for me, the reason why I have a hard time believing it being transformed from a human is our human bodies are third dimensional, which means they're not accessible to the paranormal. The frequency in the human body is not high enough to do that. When you get outside the physical body, which is in the little tiny brain that's in the box, which is third dimensional, then you hit that paranormal spectrum, and a lot of that stuff can happen. So that's for me why I have a harder time believing that the physical body transforms. These other beings, whether it's an alien, whether it's a Sasquatch, Dogman, whatever, their physical bodies are already in the higher frequency. They don't, you know, they can go from a third dimensional body to anything they want to. That's a whole different thing. But as far as for a human being to do it, our bodies are strictly 3D. That's why it needs food, it needs water, and it needs sleep, because it's a third dimensional body. It does not function in the paranormal spectrum until your consciousness is up in the higher frequency. So that's kind of where I tend to wonder about it.
People who have encounters with these type of creatures, are they always on a more negative sense when it comes to werewolves or dogmen?
In my opinion, yes, which is awful. Because, you know, I like the dogmen. You know, I mean, of course, there's bad ones out there, just like with our people. You know, I think I'm more fearful of humans than I am a dogman. But I've also been helped by them before. So I am, you know, again, it depends on the individual. The ones that the government created, we already know are bad news because they were made for a specific reason. But an average dogman, it can go good or bad, in my opinion. I've had good experiences with them. I have dealt and talked to some of the bad ones, but primarily I've had positive experiences with them.
Christian, how about yourself? Do you feel that there is more of a negative connotation with interactions with these creatures?
With werewolves, definitely. I think, you know, werewolves get a bad reputation, but I've had 3 encounters with dogmen in my life, possibly 4, depending on what we're calling this thing back here and up behind our house. But I've never, you know, I've been scared, you know, but I've never. It's been one of these things. If they wanted to do me harm, they could have, and there's nothing I can do about it. There's absolutely nothing. I'd have to sit there and take it and die. That's just, I mean, even, you know, armed, you know, nothing's going to stop one of those things. If it wants to hurt you, it's going to hurt you. I go back to what I said. You know, I consider them that I think they like scaring the hell out of us. I think it amuses them. You know, that story I told you about the guy that thing pointed at him and ran away. Why would an animal do that unless you're trying to intimidate or scare the hell out of someone?
Maybe he's trying to warn him.
He's scared the crap out of him.
I've never had a bad experience with the dogman. I'm afraid that I wouldn't be afraid when I should be, because I've had only good experiences with dogmen.
That's why you wouldn't.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with them. They've been around me my whole life, and they have helped me multiple times. If they wanted to take me out, they could have absolutely done it and not. But again, there is good and bad in everything. We cannot say that everything's good or bad. The cosmic balance is that there's both. And, you know, just like with people, where they are mentally is where it's going to be. Now, I've had dogmen protect me when they could have done me harm. I had a bad dogman come in because I had helped the Sasquatch deal with this bad dogman situation. And so they sent a bad dogman after me, and the good dogman protected me. So, you know, I'm kind of like Team Dogman. They've helped me several times, as well as other people that I know.
I don't know if they're going to hurt me. I just buy them a tomahawk steak.
Or bring some tennis balls out in the forest.
Tennis balls. Let them get to know my dog, you know.
I just think their personalities are so different than the Sasquatch I mean, I've had a couple of them that had some pretty funny person, like Sasquatch love to play tricks on you all the time and play around, and they've got pretty, you know, most of them have pretty funny personalities, but not all the dogmen. They're more stoic. Now, I have had 2 or 3 of them that were pretty funny and like to pull pranks. There's one that I talk to on a regular basis, and he's absolutely wonderful. But I just don't get, because they look scary and they look different, our people automatically condemn them, just like they do with the Sasquatch. And so, you know, it's about what's inside, not on the outside. And we look pretty horrific to them too. So,
Bunch of hairless pink apes.
yes.
Except Dave.
Your thoughts with 3.5 minutes to go before the break, Robin, on little people. This question came up with Christian as well tonight.
Okay. Whether or not they're good or bad?
What have you had interactions with them?
Yeah. And they're pretty good. Like, I'm not having a whole, like I said, I pretty much get along with a lot of it. Are there some bad? Yeah, there's some, they're real tricksters. And they can, you know, get quite a little temper going. But I've not had a lot of bad experiences with them. Now, I have had people that have had interaction with them where they were just, you know, they were not nice. They were playing pranks and they were nasty to them or whatever. The ones that I've ever been around, I've not had that problem. I had one that would go from a friend of mine's house to my house on and off for years. And other than, you know, he could cop an attitude now and then because he would lose his rocks. He had rocks. He was always hiding rocks all over the place. And, you know, if he couldn't find a rock, he was convinced we were all taking him and hiding him. It was a plot against him. But other than that, I've not had a problem. I think there's something that you don't piss off. I don't think people realize the power that these little things have. If they really wanted to be obnoxious, they could. I just have not had a lot of bad experiences with them.
But you wouldn't trust them or believe information that they give you or directions?
It depends on the individual. There's a couple that I've known that I would consider their information. But yeah, like I said, they're pranksters. Mm-hmm. You know, they like to rule everything. They like to do their own thing. For the most part, like I have clients that through the work that we've done, they are now getting interaction with them. And they've been pretty good with them. But I think some of these things like the fairies, everybody thinks, oh, fairies are so beautiful and they're so wonderful. No, that's not really how it works. And they can, you know, these little tiny things that people just think are just so tiny and cute that they're not going to bother. And these things have got a lot of power. And they have a lot of attitude. You know, I mean, you got to be careful of them. I don't think they're as friendly as, per se, a Sasquatch. I think you got to be more on top of your game with them. You know, because they can be tricky.
Tricky how?
I think they're devious. I have to agree with Christine on that. I think that they can go both ways. And, you know, they like to move through the dimensions. They like to do various things. I think the elementals are not as bad as the dimensionals. Little people themselves, again, they can pack a punch. All these things have abilities, and they can do whatever they want to do. And I think they're sneakier. I think that's probably the better term for it. I think they're sneakier as far as what they want to do.
Well, it's like, you know, and even back to the folklore, the Fae were, you know, stealing kids and swapping out shapeshifters. Yeah. You know, they've never had a good reputation.
Even the tiny ones, borrowers.
I mean, they're, you know.
Well, I only had one serious encounter with Fae, and there was a bunch of them. And I had been warned prior about the possibilities of how bad they can be. Number one, of all the little tiny things, you know, the elementals, the dimensionals, the little people, the Faes have the most power. 100% have the most power. Now, when I saw them, the first I saw of them, they had shapeshifted in what looked like a very little tiny Sasquatch, pocket-sized. And when they came out of that, there was like 5 or 6 of them that were there.
Well, Robin, we're going to go to break here. Pocket-sized Sasquatch. Just in your jackets so they stay warm in the winter. This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott. All right, we are clear.
Fabulous.
I mean, like, for me, they were fine with me. I didn't have a problem with them. They had given me a name. They named me and did all. I mean, they were fine. It was really emotional when I saw them because they were projecting a lot of emotion on me, to the point where you almost wanted to cry. But it was all happy too.
No, but I can't pronounce
This is what Christian projects on me.
You know, now I'm going to have nightmares. I just want you to know there will be nightmares going on when I go to bed tonight.
I'm going to have a pillowcase with that put on it for you.
Oh God,
You're
hope
such
so.
a giver. Such a
It'll be
giver.
number one seller.
The one pillowcase my dogs won't chew up. How much?
Big life-size ones so you can
They're not
hug
missing. And I'll put my ass on the other side so you know what that looks like.
Yeah, well, that'll just blind me. I've already seen that. One time was enough.
Remember what you're at.
I know. I don't want her to forget. You know?
I can't get that image out of my mind. I told you it was
good.
burned in there for life. Therapy won't remove it.
Well, that's good. You're welcome. Instead of having to go to the white light, you could just think of my ass.
Oh my God. And it was so funny because
Help, I'm in danger.
Yeah, Christine is standing at the door going, I don't want to open the door. And he's going, open the door. And she's like, no, I don't think it's a good idea. No, open the door. And she's like, okay, fine. She opens that door. And Christy and I are like, oh my God. You know?
I tried to cover him and he said, don't censor me.
Yeah, don't censor me. Yeah.
Don't you censor me.
God forbid. There are no words. No words.
I think you guys are going to be able to see through that corner.
He thought that the little half wall was covering it. I'm like, it's not covering
it. Nothing that's going to cover that. I just thank God every day he wasn't on his back. Okay.
You're welcome. You would have been thinking you met Moby Dick.
That would have been way scarier.
I wouldn't have recovered. I'm just going to say.
Dave's like,
shut the hell up.
Mute.
Right?
Poor Dave. My favorite thing is waking Robin up after the events in the morning. That's my favorite thing. I will fly to wherever to go to do that. I don't care.
No, let's be honest. Who was the one that was getting up all night long and running across the hallway and knocking on my door so that Robin couldn't get any sleep?
It was me. I did that.
That was always you. I'd be in there trying to sleep, and all of a sudden I'd hear boom, 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 and I didn't even get up. I'm like, Kristen, go away.
I know you heard that hysterical laughter. Dave and I did it too. I got Dave doing it too.
What did you have me do?
3 o'clock in the morning, running down the highway with beer.
Yeah, that's true.
And taco sauce. Remember, you had that taco sauce in your pocket.
Oh, good Lord.
I got the SUV to pull up to Taco Bell right after the plane.
Yeah, he was adamant about getting that sauce.
And they are aware that they will be doing the same this year. They know.
Oh, yes. Yes.
But yeah, he was like waking all night long. I'm like, you do understand. Not only did I do the conference, but I was still working. And some of my clients, I was doing it 2 and 3 in the morning because of where they were located on the globe. Like,
I'm aware. You told me, don't mess with me because I'll be busy. And that was you just green lighted me right there.
I know.
I could not do it.
I know. And my clients are like, what's that noise? I said, we've got this lunatic that's with our show. I'm like, he's basically harmless.
Who the hell is that?
Yep.
Now, we did run from that one because that did scare the bejesus out of us, Dave. Let's be honest. Because all you heard was, who the hell is that?
Hey, Robin.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that Varla and I will be able to grab the same flight out of Dallas?
I can try to schedule it that way. Yes. And my guess is that is probably how it will go because Dallas is the only hub that gets you into Grand Island and you guys will be coming in the same day.
Good.
So that would be what I would figure would happen. But I will try to book your flights around the same time anyway.
Groovy. That'd be
because
awesome.
I need to get from you again what airport you're coming out of, and I've got to get that from her as well.
Yeah. I'm coming out of Vancouver.
Okay, that's what I thought. I've got to find out from her if she's going to do the same.
Vancouver.
Vancouver.
Yeah, my son lives in Vancouver.
Uh-huh. My toilet flushes in Vancouver. I kid.
You're horrible. Thank you.
Sometimes Robin makes me like, she puts me in these moods. Like, I either want to make her a hilarious.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I get weird.
He would call me in the middle of the night just to pick on me and harass me. And he would get me laughing so hard. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, don't you have to work tomorrow?
You guys, 10 seconds. Hold on.
I would call him. I would call her.
Welcome back to the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. So glad to have you here. Final time. We have Robin Haynes on tonight's show, and Christian MacLeod and Christina from A.C.A.P.S are still hanging on out. Why? Well, apparently they have nothing better to do, so let's talk some monsters. Let's just get right to it. I have a question coming from our chat room, guys.
Sure.
It's from Blue Cruise. I've seen videos online showing a human being shapeshift into a zoological life form or a random variety of cryptid in a matter of seconds, temporarily appearing spiritual in nature. Do you think this might be real?
You know, from our third, and this is just my opinion, guys, from a third dimensional body to be able to do that, I just really have a hard time believing that. What I will say is we do have, and I'm in all fairness trying to be on both sides of the coin, we do have a lot of hybrids walking around that are alien hybrids. I've seen them. I've had to interact with them. I've been attacked by them. And that is something that if that was, and they look like a human form, although they are not 100% human. And yes, those can shapeshift. I have seen that happen. So if you saw that and it was a legitimate footage, my guess would be it would be a hybrid that shifted. It would not be 100% human, because third dimensional bodies just do not have, in my opinion, that ability to do that. Kristen, what are your thoughts?
I have to, and then something Dave said earlier. First of all, I agree with you, but something Dave said earlier, and he's 100% right, and I can't believe I'm going to say this again, but AI, you see this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And the AI is just like, it's ridiculous because it's so advanced. I mean, I watched this great white shark attack a boat, and it ended up being like a cruise ship, and I thought it was a freaking megalodon because of like news brief, blah, 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 blah. And then it says AI generated, and you're like, because it looks so real. You don't know.
Oh, and, yeah.
If I could say something real quick, to Scouse 9, am I saying Scouse? What do you call her, Dave? Scouse?
Scoose.
Scoose, it is Guinness. Thank you for noticing. God bless you.
Yeah, like I said, if that were a real footage, I have not seen it. I'm not going to comment on whether it's real or not. If it was real footage, the only way I would even consider it a possibility is if that was some kind of hybrid that did it, but it would not be a regular human.
See, I don't have a problem with alien shapeshifting because they've got the technology. It's probably just holograms anyway. That I can, because we have the ability to, holograms, we can use those. We have those blanket or the Predator outfit that, that we have that cloaking technology. We have that now. So what aliens would have I'm sure transforming into something else. It wouldn't be them transmogrifying. It'd be them bending light and making them into something.
Which is exactly what the cryptids do.
Exactly.
Yeah, isn't it always bending light?
So it's probably, that wouldn't surprise me. But like I said, the turning into something else, I'm just, Rob, I know you've seen a lot and you've been doing this a long time, but this is just one of those things, I got to see it, Now,
to go from a third dimensional body to shapeshift, I don't believe that's possible. I just don't. Like I said, if they were going to do it, and I could be wrong because I haven't seen it. Okay. I've never said I was perfect. Never said I know it all. But in my personal opinion, in my experiences, a third dimensional body cannot shapeshift. You have to be of a higher frequency and to be able to do anything or access any abilities, whether it's a shape-shifting capability or a cloaking capability, you've got to be in a higher frequency. And if you're in a third dimensional body, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't go into that paranormal spectrum. So I just don't believe that to be true. And I 100% agree. The worst thing that ever happened to everybody was the AI. Number one, there's good AI and bad AI. I don't like any of them. I've been attacked by the AI on and off. I have almost been killed by it. So I have a big problem with AI. And all these little AI generated programs that transfer pictures and create things. You know, I mean, I have had very good friends that have gotten scammed because they got AI pictures. You know, and it's hard enough in this, and I think Christian and Christina and David as well can agree that it's hard enough to get any amount of credibility in this field. For anybody to take you seriously is extremely hard. That's why I don't get bent out of shape if anybody doesn't. I mean, I know when I put my head down on my pillow at night, God knows I've never lied about a thing. So I'm good. I'm good to go.
But see, that's the difference. We collectively as a group, and collectively we're a group because, you know, if I'm going to you guys, as much as I love Dave, I still have to rag on him. Can't help it. But I trust you guys. If you send me something and you say, hey, this is real, I'm not even going to look at it twice.
Yeah, we know.
Because
same here.
Dave
same here.
He says, hey, what is this? You know, and I won't even, if Dave says it's real, then it's real. If Dave took it or you took it, I'm not even going to question it. It's going to be real. It's going on my website, and I'm going to stand behind it. I'm not even going to question it. But this AI stuff is so
dangerous.
Good. It's dangerous.
Oh, it's very
some
dangerous.
of this stuff is like Dave. When a couple of months ago, Dave and I were just talking, and he was going to put my face on a T-shirt, and he just pulled up this AI thing.
Like that isn't terrifying.
Like 2 seconds, and I was thinking, man, if you know, no wonder why everything's so easy now. You know, and I don't really play with it much because I've got too much going on in the real world for me to get lost in you know, the alien world. I don't need that, but it's just crazy what that stuff can do. It's so advanced. And even when you look on Google now, you've got Google AI, Ask Gemini, all this other stuff. You can't get away from it.
Terrible. No, you can't. And it's going to get more in depth. I'm just saying this is the start.
My only operating system now on this that works real well is the AI. It's all that they did an update, and now AI is pretty much the only way I can use it. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, you know, like I said, and I think it's very easy, just so everybody knows, if you fall for, and I'm not saying that person's video is AI. I haven't seen it. I'm not knocking it. I'm not approving it. I'm not saying anything bad about it, just to be fair. But for people that do get sucked into this AI world and believe something and later find out it's AI, please don't feel bad. Okay. It happens to everybody. It's not anything wrong on your part. That stuff is so convincing that even people that have witnessed a lot of this stuff, we have a hard time telling it apart. We do. Yeah. You know, so it's not something that not everybody could fall. I mean, everybody can fall.
I will say this though, the Bigfoot videos that are AI, they still look fake as anything.
Yeah, because they're not breathing. Yeah. That's the other thing. Like you never see their chest going up and down. They're not breathing. There's no.
Like I've seen a couple recently of people allegedly catching them while they're driving in their cars,
falling down, catching deer. Yeah,
AI hasn't been able to figure out the walk.
Yeah. Exactly. And for my clients out there that know how to read energy signatures, and trust me, they're very good at it now. There's no energy signatures in it. If there's no energy signatures in it, it does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was looking at the comments. Ben 1975. He said, you know, that it's sad when Google goes to AI. That's his first default, but that's what everything's going to. I mean, everything's going to be AI. I mean, I honestly believe in the next couple of years. It's just me saying this, and I haven't looked into this. I wouldn't know. But I think what you're going to have, instead of having a computer, you're going to have a personal AI assistant. And you're literally going to be talking to that. And you say, hey, pull up the stuff for the podcast. You know, call Robin, call Christian, call Christina. Get this all done, blah, blah, blah. And that's what's going to happen. I think everything's just basically already done.
Everyone's going to have a Jarvis.
Everyone, yeah, exactly.
Well, and the thing of it is
I saw an advertisement the other day, like just on the weekend, about this AI company that you can hire an AI staff that takes care of your scheduling. It's already there.
Yeah. And I think, you know, we've got the quantum computers and the quantum phones that will be released. And even in the quantum, I think that I'm not going to be surprised that if we don't have a lot of AI tech in it, unfortunately. I mean, it's going to be great for security because nobody's going to be able to hack your phone. Nobody's going to be able to hack your computer, which personally I would love because every time I get a computer, the government destroys it. And, you know, yep. And so that would be great. You know, Yeah, I can't wait to get the quantum computers and the phones. But yeah, it's like I have 2 phones. I've got to tap on both phones. They blow these suckers up on a regular basis. I mean, it's just like nobody gets as many phones as I do. And I take care of my phones like they are literally, the Hope Diamond. And it doesn't matter what I do. If I'm having a really in-depth if I'm having an in-depth conversation with somebody about something really sensitive topic or excessively paranormal or whatever, all of a sudden the vocals on it change to Chinese or everything shuts down. I can't access that phone. I grab the other phone. I call them back on the other phone, and it takes them usually about 15, 20 minutes to flip over to the other phone to blow that sucker up, and by then the other one's working again. So we end up playing back and forth during sessions with people on really touchy subjects of bouncing back and forth to the 2 phones.
No, I get you, because you and I and Christine, we've all talked about, how many computer issues we've had.
Oh, every time I get a new computer, they take it down.
Years we've had to go through. And last time we did that UFO conference, that what a nightmare that turned into. And that
I have a beautiful HP laptop. It's got the bigger screen, everything. It's in mint condition. I can't use it. I can't do anything with it. They've already hacked into it. They took every cryptid picture that I had, all my videos, everything are wiped off that computer. Big news flash. I've got flash drives hidden all over the place, and not just at my house.
What ticks me off is when they do that, they just destroy. It's like they destroy your property. They can do that without destroying the property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one computer that I literally turned it on. It was a phenomenal computer, spent a lot of money on it, had all my files in it, and it literally blew up in front of me. Like the screen, the keyboards, everything. I sent it in.
They turned the battery. They did something with the battery that fried it.
Yeah, I sent it in, and I got contacted by the company that fixed it and said, "Who doesn't like you?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And they said, "This was an inside job. Like there was nothing malfunctioning. Like this was done to your computer." I'm like, "No crap. Can you fix it? I don't even care about the computer. I need the hard drive." And they were able to save the hard drive because when it happened, I had got it stopped before it had fried the hard drive. So I've been able to save the hard drives in the computers, and I sent them to various people's homes so that they're there for safekeeping because I need what's on it. But it's ridiculous. Yeah. And now that the AI is involved, it's even harder. Now, there is good AI that works within the Galactic Federation and the Secret Space Program. Now, I don't deal with it. I don't want anything to do with the AI. That thing's been tracking me since I was born. And every 7 years I get attacked. And it always comes from some AI modulated thing. I hate it. It's something I've had to deal with my whole life. But apparently, according to those organizations, there are a good AI and a bad AI. If that's true, I don't know. I don't deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. Never going to deal with it. But we can't get away from it.
Because the last computer my last laptop, when I was doing the conference in Nebraska, it just went dead. I don't know if you.
Yep. Where'd Christian go?
Oh, they've been having some computer issues all night. It happens.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It really is. And, it makes it really hard. But like I said, there are some of these videos that we think are AI that are actually legit and vice versa. We just, it's hard to tell. I haven't seen that particular video, so I would not comment good or bad on it. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt because I don't know. But I do think that if that was a legitimate video, that it would have had to have been a hybrid that did the shape shifting because our third dimensional bodies just aren't capable.
Like getting back to that video, I would suggest to our listener, Blue Cruise, that don't trust it. I haven't seen the video. It may be true. It may not. But in just prejudging, which is sometimes what we have to do, I would say use discernment. Does it look real? Is there anything that looks edited or hazy or the movements aren't real? There's a lot of ways to tell an AI video right now. As good as they are becoming, they aren't perfect. They really aren't.
There are subtle things. And also, remember, these cryptids that we have a very high frequency. When they are moving on video and on camera, we do have some that are taken videos far enough away where they stay clear. But if they're up close to that camera and they're moving around, you're going to see some blurriness because of the frequency that they radiate. So, farther away, they're away from that camera, that, video recorder, and you may not get the blurriness. We've seen some that are far across the field and you see Sasquatch running across or whatever that are very legitimate films. But when they're up close to the camera, you do get that blurriness as they're moving because of that frequency that they're at. And again, that frequency on our bodies, if you're going to be up close and personal with them, that radiates on our body like radiation. So this is why we get people in the field of the paranormal that get brain tumors. They get blood disorders, me included, and they have other severe health issues. It's not that the Sasquatch and the Dogmen and the other cryptids are putting diseases in you. They are not able to do that. But what does happen is that what comes off of them is like radiation, and prolonged exposure to it can cause health problems. However, you can ask them to pull it back. Now, when I was interacting with some that were on my property, I had a very, very large male, as well as the rest of the clan, completely surround me. And the male came up 2 foot from me. And he was lovely. I didn't feel threatened at all. But that energy that radiated off of him, it was like a weighted blanket on me. I could hardly move. I wasn't tranced. I wasn't, anything done to me. I could move, but my whole body felt like it was made out of concrete. And as soon as I said to him, you know what, I have a 3rd dimensional body, buddy, pull it back a little bit. The energy's too strong. And he did. I could still feel it, but he did pull it back quite a ways. And so I was able to move around a little bit easier. So just for people that are out there that are interacting, and when they've got them on camera, when they're up close for these AI videos, there is a little bit of a blur from that frequency. So just something else to look for. And I agree with Christian, they don't breathe. There's no breathing on it. It almost looks like it's so scripted and so perfect that it's not real.
It's too perfect, Robin.
Yep.
And that is the big one. And that's what we're going to have to compete with. Krista, I'm going to get you to turn your speaker down. We are getting some feedback.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right there. So thank you very much for that. But this is something that we're going to have to worry about moving forward here over the next long while, or probably a lifetime now.
Yeah, and it is really sad because we, as experiencers, I don't consider myself a researcher. I'm an experiencer. Have I done research? Yeah. I've done the measurements, the hair samples. I got blood samples, whatever. But I'm an experiencer. That's what I do. I mean, this is just what happened with my life and the way it went. And I'm very blessed and grateful that it did. But it is very difficult for anybody legitimate in this field to get anybody to even listen to us or take us seriously, no matter what we do, how much we put ourselves through, what risk we get put through. And it's hard to get any type of legitimacy. And then the AI comes in and nobody's believing anybody now, even more so. Instead of evolving and getting to where people are more and a higher frequency and able to cope and understand that these things exist, the AI just sent us backwards as far as people acknowledging and believing anything. I'm fortunate that I've got people that have been with me in the field, have seen the things that I've encountered and know me well enough. But, I have the same problem everybody else does. Nobody wants to believe it because they don't believe the photos or the videos. Well, this is why. For me, I don't see any good that came from the AI. It's great because you can tell them what kind of a letter you want written and it does it. You can tell them what kind of song and it does it. And that's cool and it's fun. It's great entertainment. But we are getting to the point where we are relying on AI. AI can think, it can process, and it can problem solve, and it learns. That is a very, very dangerous thing for our people. because it will eventually get to the point, and I think it's already there, where it can be smarter than we are. And then who's in control? So like I said, I don't want to rant on the AI all night, but that is a concern.
It is something that we're going to have to deal with. We got about 2 minutes to go here before we have to say goodnight to all of you tonight. And I appreciate Christian and Christina staying a little bit later with us for Robin. When I look at the entire aspect of the AI world and how it's going to affect what we do, I think it's going to come more down to personal experiences again. And I also believe we're going to see a resurgence in photography, because for photography, it's going to allow things to be a little bit more real. Even though, yes, there is Photoshop, but it's going to allow things to be a little bit more real. And I can actually see AI, helping clarify a lot of these photographs that we have too. Maybe indentations or dermal ridges.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it'll go through and it'll tell you if it's fake or it's not, depending on the program you've got. And when it comes to cryptids, dermal ridges go horizontal. They do not swirl like on us. So when people are finding fingerprints and they're finding all these various other things, there is a different pattern to the dermal ridges. I also
Robin, where can people find you?
Well, I want to say one thing, if I can, very quickly. A lot of our viewers message me, and I just want to tell you guys thank you. They find me on Facebook and contact me, and you guys are awesome. Always feel free to do that at any time, and I just really appreciate you guys and the support. You guys are wonderful. You can find me at paranormal-empowerment.com, or you can find me under Robin Haynes, no middle initial. That account I can't get into no matter what I do. So under Robin Haynes, Haynes on Facebook, and I answer everybody.
I love it. Robin Haynes, thank you again.
Thanks, guys.
On Spaced Out Radio, and a big thank you to Christian and Christina from American Cryptid and Paranormal Society for coming on and staying the whole 3 hours of tonight's show. As we wrap this up and say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, Robin. Hold on, I got you on mute. Hold on, sweetheart.
I said, thank you so much. It's always fun.
Oh, I love it when you're here.
Oh, I do too. I have so much fun. And I tell you what, it's so great because I get a lot of people from the show that message me, and I'm humbled by it. I love it. I love to hear from everybody.
Oh, we love
and
having you here.
Well, and they're always so kind. Like they're always nice to me. I love it. Like I said, I'm sure we get a few people that aren't thrilled with me, but they're always so good. So I enjoy the interaction with them.
When are just on a personal subject here, when are you going to be booking flights?
I generally start booking them the end of March. And the reason I do that is when I booked them earlier, I had two things happen. I had all these flight changes and I had to redo everything again, and they would refund me tickets and then they would have me repurchase them, and everything changed. But then I also had a couple years where people had situations that they were beyond their control and they couldn't come, and we couldn't get the money back on the flights. All they would do is issue vouchers to the people who the ticket was in, and then we couldn't do it. So I wait till the end of March or the first week in April, and then I book only because it was, granted, the flights were a little bit more, but I wasn't losing money. I was actually, it made sense to wait.
I love it.
Yep. So I know I can't either. I'm excited to see everybody.
Me too. You're going to love Varla.
Oh, I know. I'm excited. I talked to her that one time and she was just a doll. So I'm very excited about that. We've got a lot of good people coming, so it'll be fun.
It's going to be great.
I know. Cannot wait. We always have so much fun.
All right, my dear.
You have a wonderful night.
We will talk to you soon.
Absolutely. How's it going with the haunted tour?
It's coming along. We haven't started our tours yet. It's still, we don't start until May. So probably 2 weeks after your conference, we'll get started there.
Yeah. Well, if you need any help contacting all of them, let me know.
All right, my dear.
Thank you. Love you guys. Bye.
All right. Bye. Robin Haynes, everybody. And for the rest of you, thank you tonight to Luscious Jewels and Kitty Caddywhack for the super chats. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who gave us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please do so. It helps with the algorithms. I want to know what you think of werewolves. Make sure, as my camera goes blurry for some unknown reason, okay, make sure that you guys leave a comment after the show, and that way I get to read it in the morning and say, hey, what do you think of this when it comes to werewolves? Good night, everybody. You have a great one. We'll see you tomorrow night, where our guest will be Jack Kelly. We're going to talk about Atlantis in the Sahara Desert. How cool is that? Good night, everybody. Have a great one.
Healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.